Hey Who fans, welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 131.
Yeah.
One day, I shall come back.
Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we?
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
I have the advantage of being slightly ahead of you. Sometimes behind you, but normally ahead of you.
But the trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear. And it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
A meteor storm that the sky above us was dancing with lights. Purple, green, brilliant yellow, yes!
I'm the doctor, by the way. What's your name?
Rose.
Nice to meet you, Rose.
Run for your life.
It's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Just remember who's standing in your way. Look at the eyebrows. These are attack eyebrows. You can take bottle tops off with these.
Howdy do Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've managed to do something Doctor Who related, i.e. watch the new teaser.
Yeah.
Series 2.
I'm looking forward to talking about that with you later in a bit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Coming up today, we have got some decent news and merch, finally. We actually have some stuff to talk about, which is a novelty these days. And then we're on to our review of the 9th Doctor story, The Empty Child, which will be fantastic.
It will be fantastic.
That was an obvious one, really, wasn't it, to use fantastic there?
Yeah.
But it works.
It does get in the brain as well, because sometimes you say it without even meaning it, like, to be connected. You're like, oh, it's fantastic, and then you're like, hey, I've said it.
It's a bit like when we say one day all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just gets in your psyche, that does.
Yeah, becomes habit.
Yeah.
What have you been up to, my good fellow?
Well, before we crack on, I must just check you're all right. I thought we'd lost you in the opening. In the opening there, because as the music was playing, I just saw Gary take a big swig of water, and the next thing I know, I thought he was on the floor. What happened? You look like I thought you'd gone. I thought I was going to have to take over.
Yeah, it was just the excitement of because Adam and I normally sort of dance around, and because when
we were a bit vigorous this morning, weren't we? I don't know what's going on. If we both had chocolate this morning or something, we're both very into the theme, weren't we?
We were
really going for it. Yeah.
So I think it was just that I got a bit lively, and yes. I ended up nearly spitting on my water over. I
just sort of saw you disappear. But I was like, where's he gone? What's happened? Floored yourself.
Yeah. But I'm good, though.
Good. Okay, well, that's fine. I'm very well, thanks. I haven't been up to much. I've just been working. Blimmin' working. But, the only thing I have managed to fit in this week is I did finish the latest Third Doctor comic. So it's issue 5, which sort of wraps up the first sort of batch. I'm really hoping they do some more of these, because I've really enjoyed this comic. Paul Cornell's involved in this one, and I was told by one of our listeners, Elijah, that it's going to be the last thing he does, Doctor Who related. He kind of wants to move on, which would be a bit sad, but it's a good one to go on. Have you read any of the Third Doctor ones yet?
No, not Third Doctor.
Oh, okay, I really recommend them. I think you'd love them, because I don't want to give too much away for anyone that hasn't read them, but I think most people know that we get, the Roger Delgado's Master makes an appearance in it, and it's really good. Like they've drawn him really well. Yeah, it's the animation's really good, and just sort of like the dialogue in it as well. You can really sort of hear him saying it in your head as you're reading it, so that's good. And there's a couple of other little surprises, and I don't want to say what, but I've really enjoyed it. So I sort of got to the end of it, and I was like, more please, definitely want more of this, because I think they're on to a winner with this Doctor range. The 8th Doctor one, they only did one series, you see. I don't think it quite had the same. It didn't do as well, and I don't know if we're going to get any more of those. So I'm really hoping that they do another series of the Third Doctor ones. This is Titan Comics, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sure most people know that. But yeah, so I finished that off, and it's really good. But you know what it's like? It's a bit like when you finish a TV box set or whatever, and you're like, oh, what now? I need something to sort of fill the void, if you like. So yeah. But that was very good.
Well, the 4th Doctor range was really good, and you can pick that up as a collection now, as a graphic novel.
Yeah, they were good, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's I think they've labelled it as just, Volume 1, the 4th Doctor something. Volume 1, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, it'd be good if they did some more of them. I liked the Fourth Doctor one as well. Yeah. Talking of graphic novels, I didn't think it was going to happen, but there was a part of me that was hoping I might have got up to Forbidden Planet last night, because Stephen Moffat and Sue Virtue, is that her name? Sue Virtue, yeah. Yep. Were doing a signing in Forbidden Planet last night of the Sherlock graphic novel, which is bizarre actually, because it's done in a sort of manga style. But I would have loved to have gone up for that. I'd have liked to have got that signed by those two, but unfortunately, by the time I finished work, I was like, I probably could have made it, but it would have been the hassle of going to London after work and stuff. But I was tempted. Annoyingly, you were able to pre-order it from the FP website, but they've stopped taking pre-orders, because I was like, don't need to go out to London in the rain. I'll just order it online, and they've stopped taking pre-orders. So I don't know if them off on that only had a limited time and they didn't sign many for the website or whatever. But yeah, a bit gutted I missed out on that. So that would have been good.
It would have been fun to go there and see the Moff answer loads of questions about Doctor Who while as Sherlock.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that would have been fun to watch.
I'm really wondering when I go and see. When is it? Is it in April? Going to that sort of discussion panel with Stephen Moffat and Frank Skinner. I'm just wondering if Frank's going to say to him at some point, so what have you got in your work diary for next year? Because like Sherlock's, he's pretty much wrapped up, and Doctor Who's obviously he's finally letting it go. So I wonder what he's going to do next. I'm sure he's got his fingers in a few pies. I'm sure of it. But yeah, I wonder what the Moff will do. Or do you think he's just going to go off and have a holiday?
I would expect a very long. Well, I would expect a nice holiday because he does get around to a lot of stuff as well, doesn't he? When we were when he was doing one of the earlier series of Sherlock and Doctor Who, and he still got around to loads of events as well. He went round to when we went to the where was it? I think it was the proms. He wasn't meant to be there, and then I think somebody came out on stage, maybe Peter Davison or somebody, had said a big thank you to Stephen Moffat, and he's here tonight. And then he showed him up and everything.
Yeah, they put a big spotlight on him, didn't he?
Yeah,
didn't they? Yeah,
and he normally goes to quite a few events as well. So he's been. I would imagine that his wife hasn't seen him very much for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
So I would expect them to have a decent break, because I'd be like, do you know what? Don't look for me for about a month. If I don't come back to you if I don't call you back, if you don't get an email or whatever it is, it's because I'm on a beach somewhere asleep. And I don't want to be disturbed. That's what I would do anyway.
I do think no matter what we think of some of the Moff stuff, I do think he deserves a little holiday, don't you? I mean, like you said, he's ploughed out all this stuff for Doctor Who for quite a long time now, and Sherlock, and goodness knows what else that he's been involved in. Yeah. And his name does pop up on things. We were watching what's that thing called? The Tintin animation that came out a few years ago recently. He was
involved with that, wasn't he?
And I was like, old Mothball's name pops up at the beginning. I was like, what's he doing in this? So yeah, he does get around. So maybe a little holiday for the Moff would be nice. Yeah. Not much else, mate. I've just really been. I had a look at possibly going to MCM Birmingham in a couple of weeks. A bit like with Cardiff, I just sort of eyed up the cost and stuff. They might have persuaded me. I emailed them to say, do they give you the option to buy the digital file if you have a photo shoot? Because they're quite expensive, the photo shoots. And Showmasters, they always put them up, don't they? So if you go to a show, about a month later, you can go on the Showmasters website. All the pictures are there, and if you want to purchase your digital file of the photo, it's like £5.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't mind paying it, because I really like to have the digital file, because I like to sort of print it off or get another copy to put in a photo frame, rather than paying £30 and just getting the one that they give you. And I was a bit surprised. They emailed back to say that they don't do that. They can't offer the digital file,
right.
Which was disappointing to me. So it kind of made my mind up for me, because I was looking for an excuse to sort of decide either way. And I thought, if they tell me that I can get the digital files, I'm just going to go.
Right.
Because Birmingham's much easier and cheaper for me to get to than Cardiff. So I was thinking of going to meet Billy Piper and all that. But yeah, they can't do it. I just find it strange, because they're quite a big convention, and even when we go to smaller events like Phantom, Phantom, if I speak to Robin, the photographer, you pay £3, he sends you the digital file. I just find it really strange, and I don't know how many people are bothered about this. I'm sure I'm in a very small minority of people that actually care, but I like to have that digital file. So that kind of knocked the final nail in the coffin. I thought, well, that's off, but it's good because it means I'll be saving money for London Comic Con and all the rest, which is what I should be doing really. But I was slightly tempted with Burnham. They've got some good guests there. I mean, there's Billy. They've got a load of other Who guests actually that have completely gone out of my mind. They've got a couple of class guests as well. Fad is there. He's getting around, isn't he? Fad is there.
Well, he needs to, really.
And the Prince is there, and and they were quite cheap. I think they're only £10 autographs. So they were, it was tempting to go, but I think I'm gonna knock that one on the head. But you'll be in Cardiff, won't you, next weekend?
This weekend.
Or is it this weekend?
Yeah.
This weekend. Wow.
Yeah, it's come around
you
quick, isn't it?
Lucky so and so. Yeah, I'm just slightly jealous. Just slightly jealous. Yeah, get to go to the experience before it shuts.
Yeah, I booked my tickets yesterday for it.
Yeah.
For this Saturday, and I'm happy and sad at the same time because I would say that I won't get there again before it closes. So I'm really happy that I'm getting to go, but I'm also sad because I'm 99% sure it'll be the last time that I'll see it all, which is a real shame.
Take your good camera with you. I know you've got a nice camera, and make sure you've got the setting off or whatever it was when we went to Phantom. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
You had the wrong setting, and when we got back all the photos, you were like, "What's wrong with it?" No, it wouldn't focus, would it, or something? When I was trying to take pictures of you.
That's right.
And I couldn't get it to focus. Yeah. So get lots of nice pictures. Get me a nice picture of the Fourth Doctor's console, please, because that's the one I haven't seen.
I will.
And they only recently restored that, didn't they? So it's not been in there all that long, I don't think, the Fourth Doctor console. Yeah, so get a nice picture of that so we can use it as a desktop. Yeah.
I will do, mate.
That'd be good. Are you going to go to Eddie's Diner?
No.
I think you have to. Why?
No, because we're only sort of going into Cardiff as a fleeting visit, if you like.
Yeah, you're against the clock a bit, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. So so I'll be going into Cardiff in the afternoon, do the experience, and then out again.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah, but no, it would be. I mean, we can still do all that stuff, can't we? At some point, even if the experience isn't there, we can still go to Cardiff and do all the locations and so on. Yeah,
that's true, mate. Yeah, you can. That'll be there. Well, yeah, it sounds great, mate. Enjoy it. So, are you going to do what's it called? Not Collectomania. The Showmasters thing, Comic Con. Are you going to do Comic Con while you're down there?
No, mate. No.
All right.
No. The plan was to have a proper geek out day on the Saturday.
Yeah.
But because our plans have changed a little bit, we're only going to be in Cardiff for a few hours. So.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So we're staying a little way away from Cardiff, to do some other stuff. So we're only going into Cardiff literally just to do the experience, really, and then back out. Yeah. So
I see. And then you got like a charity run on the Sunday, haven't you? So
Sunday? Yes.
On Sunday, yeah. So you'll be gearing up for that. That's a shame. That means you won't get to meet Matthew Waterhouse.
I know.
Which I know you were really excited about.
Well, that was almost the deal breaker for me. It was almost, do I just scrap all the other stuff and just go and meet Adric? But no.
Joking aside, you would have met, if you were going, you would have had to have met him, wouldn't you? You'd have had to go on auto.
Yeah. If I was going,
nice guy actually. I've met him a couple of times. I like Matthew. Yeah. But so well, that's a shame, mate. I was looking forward to seeing some of your picks from the weekend and stuff. But who else is there? Katie Manning's down there that weekend. You might be lucky. You might just see them floating around Cardiff the day before. Well, I would be very surprised if Katie Manning resists going to the experience while she's down there. I wouldn't be at all surprised if I suddenly see a picture of you saying, "Look who I've just bumped into," and Katie Manning's there. That wouldn't surprise me in the least. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
One of my friends was down the experience a couple of weeks ago. A chap called Phil, and I think he listens to us. I'm not sure, but he was just wandering around the experience, and lo and behold, who does he bump into? Pearl Mackie, and he was like, "Wow!" So he got a picture with her in experience. So I think, these actors, while they're down there, they think, what can we do? What is there to do in Cardiff? Oh, I know. Let's go and have a look at the experience before it gets bulldozed. So that, so you just never know. You might even be Matthew Waterhouse. Who can tell?
That is true. You never know.
Yeah. So, or even Capaldi himself. Imagine that.
Maybe.
Imagine if you think you're looking at a waxwork Capaldi and he moves and it's like, oh my God, it is the Capaldi.
Yeah. And then we go off and have lunch and talk about story ideas and
Yeah.
All that stuff.
I only say that because do you remember the Waxwork 11th Doctor, the Waxwork Matt Smith that they had in the London experience?
I never went to the London one, mate.
Have you ever seen it though?
No, I heard it was quite.
Oh, no offense. It was a bit shocking. Yeah, it was a bit shocking. But the experience is great, mate. Have a good time. As I said, you've been before, but there'll be loads of new stuff since you last went. Tech traps are there as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, so not much other than, like you, mate, a bit of a quiet week. I did watch a bit of Who stuff, though. So along with The Empty Child, I did watch The Brain of Morbius.
Did you really? Oh, right.
Because I love that story.
It's brilliant. I love it as well.
Fave Baker stories. And also it was fun watching it after. So in the Doctor Who magazine, I went back. That was the only bit that I didn't read from the last month's one, the 70s issue.
Yeah,
where they do a really detailed breakdown, don't they, of a story. It's like 8 pages long.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
yeah. So it was cool reading through that and all the little behind the scenes snippets and trivia and all that stuff that they put in the mag. So watching it after reading that was quite cool.
Yeah,
that was good. Anyone? Like anyone's going to answer. Did you see Broadchurch the other night?
Bit of a sore point that. Because I've never watched Broadchurch, but
Okay.
I knew that this third series was going to be like a new case. So I thought, well, it won't matter. I haven't watched the other two. I'll go back and watch them some other time. So I'll start with this series, and then go back. Well, we watched the first 15 minutes, and I'll be honest with you, I was quite enjoying it. I thought, I was thinking it was good. Maybe enjoyable is not the right word considering the subject matter, but I was thinking I was invested in it for sure. But my other half wasn't. And so it was switched off. When it got to the first advert break, it's like, let's see what else is on. And it was switched off. And I wouldn't say I was gripped by it, but I would have certainly, liked to have carried on watching it. So unfortunately, I only saw the first 15 minutes. Right. And then, of course, the next day at work, everybody's talking about it, and I'm like, I was really cross. It's like, I knew I should have watched it. Everyone was saying how good it was and about, didn't you see the ending where blah blah blah? And I was like, no, I didn't. No, well, who do you think it is? I don't know. I didn't see it. So I feel out of the loop, and I am gonna have to go back and watch it. But you're gonna tell me you loved it, aren't you?
I did love it. Yeah, it's one of those, and I'll tell you what, because I watched it because obviously David Tennant is pretty much super in anything that he does. So he's absolutely brilliant in it as usual. But one of the thoughts that I did come away from that first episode was thinking, I am so glad that Chibnall is moving to Doctor Who. Because if you look at the quality in the writing in Broadchurch, you've said you haven't seen the other two series before. The writing, mate, is just, it is some of the best that's on TV. And like you say, the subject matter is a little bit, it's not, it's not the nicest thing to watch in these things. But I'll tell you what, mate, the story and the writing and the characters are just, they're so good. Amazing stuff. So that was the first thing that I thought when I first watched it. Sorry, when I first stuck it on was, I can't wait to see if it's another one of those, because the first series was a real classic sort of whodunit. So they set up these kind of shifty characters near the beginning, and then it played out over, I think it was like 8 weeks or something like that, 8 episodes. And you were constantly thinking, I thought it was that guy that did it. But now this little twist has happened. And
I love it when that stuff,
I'll tell you what, mate, if you're into that stuff, the first series will knock your socks off. It's great for that. But then the second series, it wasn't really too much about a whodunit. It was more of an extension of the results of, what happened at the end of the first series. Whereas this one now, because it's something completely new, they've gone back to that formula where they've set up these kind of shifty characters, and you think, wow, are they sort of directly involved, or what's going to pan out with them? So when I stopped watching it, the first thought in my head was, I'm so happy that Chibnall is going to be on Who, because if he can bring the same quality and the same, excellent story and characters and stuff into Who, then I think it's going to be really good. So that got me really excited. And when I finished watching it, I was like, oh man, series 10? No, I'm not, bugger series 10. come on, let's get Chibbers in. Let's get Series 11 rocking. So yeah. So Broadchurch is really, anyone that hasn't seen it, watch it. It's really, really, and Tennant obviously is fantastic.
It's awesome. I was going to say you're not alone, because I went on Twitter and about 10 o'clock, and every tweet was Broadchurch, bring on Chibbers, bring on Series 11. I can't wait. And I was like, oh wow. Does he write the whole series, or does he just sort of plot? Is he like the producer, plots it out, a bit like Who writes the first and the last, or does he do the whole lot?
I don't know exactly, but he's like the story editor, script editor / writer / producer. So it's if you think about it's his baby sort of thing, but the writing responsibilities I think do get delegated to different people. Yeah, but he sort of oversees and makes sure that it's within his vision, if you like. Yeah.
I'll tell you what was great actually was do you remember a couple of weeks ago saying about the guys at work taking the Mickey out of Doctor Who? Sorry, I nearly swore. Taking the Mickey out of Doctor Who. Do you remember me saying about that? Saying they're a bit like, oh, no one watches that anymore. Oh, it's rubbish and now, isn't it, and all that. And you were saying about you had your chat with your work colleague who was sort of asked about it. Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting because obviously I went into work and they're all saying how good Broadchurch is, and what, you didn't watch it? Oh, man, it's the best thing on TV and all this. I was just gearing it up, ready to fire it at them. I was like, once they'd calmed down, I was like, yeah, and of course, Chris Chibnall, the guy who writes it, he's taking over Doctor Who next year. And they were like, is he? What? Really? And I was like, yeah, what do you think about that then? Yeah, so it's quite nice to be able to throw that back at them. Yeah. So I like you, mate. Very excited actually to see Chibbers come on board. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he does the majority of the writing. There's another, I think he has a writing partner. If memory serves now, yeah. I'm just trying to picture the credits in my head, but I think he has but I think it's mainly, him. So that's a good sign. But what's interesting as well is some of the episodes were directed by Euros Lyn.
Oh golly, there's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, yeah. And so we've said a few times that the episodes that he directed for Who were typically very well directed. And Broadchurch, I'm sorry to bang on about it, but it is the whole package. So the cinematography and the direction and the design and everything is just superb, mate.
And even though I haven't watched it, haven't they had like quite a lot of Who and Torchwood actors in it? Like, wasn't Arthur Darvill in the first series? And what's her name? Sophia Miles, yes. Sophia Miles. See, I always get confused between Sophia Miles and Madame de Pompadour. What's her real name? I always get them mixed up. Yes. But it is Sophia Miles, isn't it? Who plays Gwen?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. She was in it, wasn't she? And
she was in the second series. Yeah.
Yeah, and someone else as well. I think they've had quite a few little Who and Torchwood connections in terms of the actors in Broadchurch. So that's quite good. So that might mean Chibbers might bring back Captain Jack. You never know.
You never know. Yeah, I mean it's Arthur Darvill's been in every series.
Oh, has he?
Yeah,
right.
he was in it quite a lot in the first one, and then he was in it again series 2, but not as much. And he's already been in episode 1 of this one. But yeah, there's been a couple of other people from Who as well. And off the top of my head, I can't remember, but there has been another couple of people, sorry, that have been in it from Who. So yeah.
Yeah. Looks promising, doesn't it? Looks promising.
Indeedy. So I think we've waffled enough.
Yeah.
I think it's time to land the TARDIS and do some news. What do you reckon?
A bit of news. Yeah, do a bit of news.
First up, and I know I just completely discounted Series 10. However, we do have our first Series 10 teaser.
Yeah.
Which was released a few days ago, and it's called A Time for Heroes. And I'm going to play it for you.
Oh. Exciting.
I love that. You're like, oh, the podcast is getting a bit advanced. Being able to play teaser. Right, here's a teaser. Let's listen to it.
The first time you meet him, he's funny. The second time, he's amazing. The third time, you realise he's the most dangerous man in the universe. He says he's a man of peace, but he walks in war. I'm having the time of my life, and I wouldn't miss it for the world, even if it kills me.
Short and sweet.
It's very short and sweet. It's about 30 seconds.
But I like it.
You like it?
I like it. And do you know what I like is that it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I was just leaving the house on Saturday, was it? When did it come out? And yeah, I just randomly looked at Twitter and it was suddenly like 3:00, be there. But no one knew what for. We all assumed it was a trailer, but we were like, and I was like, no, we can't go out. Oh, damn. So I was wandering around the supermarket, checking my phone at 3 to see what it was. And there was this new trailer. And obviously I couldn't hear it properly till I got home. So I got home and watched it properly. Yeah, very short and sweet, but I like it. And I'll go into a little bit why after I find out whether you like it.
I think I like it. I want to like it. Like, I really do want to. And it does, yeah. No, I do like it. Yes, I do like it. I'm looking forward to it. I know I dissed it earlier and said that I wanted to completely gloss over Series 10 and get on to the Chibbers era. However, that would not be very respectful to Mr. Capaldi. That would do his Doctor a disservice. So, yes, I am looking forward to seeing Capaldi back. Very much so. I'm still undecided on Pearl, though. Yes, I'm still undecided. I think we need to see an episode, don't we, of Pearl, not just these little snippets.
Yeah.
You know, because she does. I mean, I like her. I very much like her, but I just think at the moment we've still. I'm undecided whether she's annoying or not. If that makes sense. She seems quite cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the TARDIS team is going to be, like the dynamic of that, because now we have Nardo in the mix as well, and he's going to be with them. So, I'm looking forward to it, and it does look very action-packed. And I think if memory serves, when we played the clip of Capaldi on Radio 2, when he spoke to Joe Wiley and he announced his leaving, he did say that there was loads of work left to do, and they were doing some epic stuff and all that. So it does look like it's going to be big, high energy, very, cinema-worthy stuff. But I'm just desperate to see an episode so I can really understand what Bill's about and all that. So you're looking forward to this, mate? Yeah,
because on first watch, I thought it didn't really give us anything. I thought it was just a real short teaser trailer. But then on sort of repeat viewing, there is actually quite a bit in there. Interesting you say about Bill, because I've really struggled to get on board with her up until now. And this has given me a glimmer of hope, actually, because it's the first time I haven't found her annoying, because she's doing the narration, obviously. Yeah. But the reason I say that is because she actually wasn't, in all the clips I've seen of her, and even in the trailer we had before, she's doing all it's fat though, and doing all that sort of talk, which I'll be quite honest with you, drives me crazy in this day and age. The fact that I'm going to make myself sound old here, but all the youngsters talking this stupid Mockney accent, and they all copy each other like sheep, and it just drives me mad. I'm thinking, you don't come from North London. Stop talking like you do. Just use your proper accent. So she sort of annoyed me up to now, using these stupid phrases like, it's fat though, isn't it? And all that. I'm like, oh, good grief. But in this, she's not doing that so much. So she's actually quite a nice bit of narration over it. So I was thinking, and the fact she's sort of looking over to the Doctor, and I felt, even from just certain little clips, I felt a little bit of warmth towards the Doctor from her there than what she's saying. So I've slowly got a glimmer of hope for Pearl. I'm slowly warming to her a little bit just from this for the first time. And I really hope that doesn't just all go down the toilet when we get the first episode, because like you said, everything else we've had so far makes her seem a bit annoying. But yeah, I liked her in this. And obviously we got all this montage of faces at the end, which you had to be really quick to pause to try and work out what they were. Mm-hmm. And we've spotted. So what have we got? We've got Cyberman's in there.
Cyberman, yeah. Ice Warrior.
Ice Warrior.
Yep.
The one at the end, the big face that comes towards him at the end. They think it's a female Ice Warrior, don't they?
That's right.
That's the rumor going around. Because it does look pretty cool. The mask, but again, you have to be quick to see it. A lot of people thought they spotted the Vashta Narada. I'm sorry to say, I wish it was, because obviously it would make sense because they're walking through a library, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that would have been nice. But I'm sorry to say that the thing that a lot of people have circling is not the Vashta Narada. That's that silly emoji robot that it just reminds me of Brian, the Go Compare.
Yeah,
robot. You know that silly white robot?
Yeah. The little robot
face
on the left. Yes, that's the emoji thing. And there's a Dalek in there as well, the top right.
Yeah, Dalek, of course.
Of course, yeah. And there's some other faces that we haven't seen before, I think, like humanoid-looking faces.
Yeah.
That I think, yeah. So I like how they've done that little snippet, like blink and you miss it.
I loved it. Yeah, I like that. There is one that it does look like, it won't be, but it does look like McGann. Do you know the one I mean? It looks like McGann from the TV movie.
It does.
I know it won't be him, but it does look like him. How I would love it if it was, but it won't be. But you know the one, don't you? There is a face in there that definitely looks a bit like the McGann Doctor, McGann movie Doctor. Who else can you see in there? I haven't got it in front of me at the minute. Is there anyone else you can spot?
I've had a look. I can't really spot anyone else that I can sort of put a name to. I think so. There's half of it we can name because they're like classic monsters, and the other, like the emoji robot, we can see. But the other ones, I can't really put a name to those. I'm sure there's people that have done a proper breakdown of it and can put a theory to them. But just after I think I've watched this maybe half a dozen times, and every time I'm like, I've already done those ones. But yes, one of the faces to me did look like. I know it's gone not in the same way that we know it's not going to be McGann, but one of the faces did look like the master character from one of the classic episodes. So I think it's the
Crispy Master.
No, the other master in, I think it's the Deadly Assassin.
Yeah, the hooded.
Sorry, is that? Of course, the crispy.
I call him the Crispy Master. Yeah, in the hood and all that. Yeah.
But that's probably not going to be.
Oh, it'd be good though, wouldn't it? Would be good. Imagine Missy turning into that. That would be crazy. But the other thing is, people have said that they've spotted, and I don't think this is true. But people have. Well, it is true that they're in there, but I think they're probably reading too much into it. But people reckon they spotted the episode titles on the book spines. Did you see that? So that was floating around on Twitter for a bit.
I did.
It was like you could see sort of a collection of books where you can clearly make out the titles, and they seem to be a lot clearer than anything else around them. People are like, that could be the episode titles. It's a nice thought, and it would be good. But looking at the titles, I don't think they are. But it would have been it's a nice thought. It's a nice thought that, perhaps the Moff's kicking himself, thinking, I should have done that. That would have been a good idea.
Yeah, because there's a bit where there's lots of explosions happening in this, and there's a few books, and one of them's so the names of the books on the spines anyway. One is called The Pilot, one's called Smile, one's called Thin Ice, one's called Knocking or Knock Something, the other one's called Oxygen Something. So perhaps there's some merit there because
Thin Ice.
Well, obviously that would link to
Ice Warriors.
The Ice Warriors it might just be a tenuous link. People might just look at it and go, that must be the titles of the episode. But I don't know, that might be quite good. Might be a nice way of doing it.
What do you think about it being in a library though? Do you think there's anything in that? Could it be any relation to the Vashta Narada? Because it's quite curious why they're just walking down this library with all these explosions and faces at the end and all that.
Yeah.
Or do you think it just makes for a good setting for the trailer?
I think it's for trailer's sake.
Yeah,
I think it's just for trailer's sake. What did you think to the old Sonic getting a good outing, blasting all the light bulbs and?
Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, I know we got annoyed with the 11th Doctor constantly using the Sonic, but 12 hasn't used it that much. No. So I'm always I'm not sick of it at all yet. I thought I was quite pleased to see him actually using it. I'll tell you the two reasons I do like this little trailer, even though it's only 30 seconds. Is it the first one is it does remind me of the sort of Matt Smith remember his first trailer where him and Amy were sat on the ground and then it falls away beneath them, and then you get all the monsters swirling around them in like the vortex.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me a bit of that, harking back to that, but without copying it. It felt a bit more sort of old school. So I liked that. And the other thing is I liked the music because it clearly wasn't Murray, because it's just a different style. It just stood out as being different to me. So it made it feel quite fresh to me. I really liked, I don't know, it just added something to it. I just thought, who's done the music for that? Because it's not very often. They do keep using the same music, don't they, for trailers? And it just felt fresh to me. I thought, I like that. And the composer's Blair Mowat, who did that bit of music. He didn't do the theme tune, but he did the music for Class. He did the instrumental music for Class. So, despite what we thought of Class, and I seem to remember the music was pretty good in it. So I'm wondering if he might be possibly the new composer. And Murray, love your music, but we will have had 10 series of you. I would like to see just some fresh, or even mix it and have Murray and someone else, like they used to do in the good old days. but I just thought it gave it a fresh feel having a different composer do the music for the trailer, and I'd like to see Blair come in and do some, if not all the episodes, some of the episodes. I think it just would freshen the series up a bit.
I think so.
Yeah, so that's why I liked it. I just thought, just thought it all worked quite nicely, actually.
Not long to wait now. We're in March now.
I know.
No, next month. Oh, we can say that now. Next month we've got new Doctor Who coming. Yeah,
exciting, isn't it?
Very
I am
exciting.
getting excited. Yeah.
That's the teaser.
So that's the teaser. Yeah, all done, dusted. I've got so carried away talking about it, I've forgotten to get the rest of the news up. Right, in the rest of the news, sad news actually. Neil Fingleton, who played the Fisher King, has passed away at the very early age of, and I've got to move Gary out of the way on the Skype.
It is, it's
36. Golly,
my
he was
age.
only 36. Yeah, 36. Gary's age. So Neil Fingleton, he'll be best known to us as playing the Fisher King in Under the Lake and Before the Flood, which were two very good episodes. Actually, I think we both liked those, didn't we? When we reviewed them.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah.
They were decent. And the Fisher King was a great creation, actually. Like a lot of stuff in Capaldi's era, very underused. But he was just to give you a little bit of background on Neil. He was 7'6" tall. So he's a tall lad. Yeah. He was awarded the Guinness World Record as the tallest British-born man, and also the tallest man in the European Union. So that's good. So he got a Guinness World Record. And also, apparently, he was an outstanding basketball player. So he's officially professionally played in places like China, Italy, Greece and stuff like that. So he was very good at basketball. Unfortunately, he had an injury which forced him to abandon his sporting career, hence why he became an actor. So he did quite a bit, up till now. And unfortunately, he died on Saturday after suffering a heart attack. But very young age for him to die, and quite shocking, really. There's a nice picture of him and Capaldi shaking hands outside the TARDIS, which has been doing the rounds on Twitter and on the news sites. So, sad news. Neil Fingleton, 36 years old, has passed.
No age, really, is it?
Not at all. No.
Sad. No. Last up, was it last? Yes, last up in the news. So you've probably seen over the past couple of months that we've tweeted out a page to go on and put your signature and name down to save the Doctor Who experience, which will be closing this summer, apparently. And I think it works in the same way that they have to get a minimum of 10,000 signatures in order to present it to the council or whoever.
Sounds right, yeah.
Yes, and as of today, we're recording this on the 1st of March. As of today, they have gone through the 10,000 signatures now, which is great, and they're currently up to 11,830. So I think the target that they wanted to raise was 15,000. but they have smashed through the 10,000, which is good. So what they're going to do is, I think it was, it was a person called Bex Faraday, who lives in Cardiff actually, and she basically went on and said, "No, we're not having this. We need to save it. It's great for Cardiff, as you would expect. You know, a lot of us have had the same thoughts." And she said that initially she set it up, and she only thought that sort of friends and family would go on and sign it, and she was she's very pleased, obviously, but surprised that it gained a lot of traction and has now got this many signatures. So she's going to present this to the Doctor Who Experience this Saturday.
Right.
To basically say...
You'll be there.
And I'll be there, yeah. So if she wants some backup, I'll throw a few fists in if needed. If it gets a bit...
Steady on.
If it gets a bit lively. So, yes, I've got her. Bex, we've got you back, don't worry. So I think this is fantastic. Oh, here we go again. I think this is fantastic because the Doctor Who Experience, we will say this so we're blue in the face, is a great thing for Cardiff.
Oh, yeah.
Not just for Doctor Who fans, but for Cardiff, because the last time that I went to the Experience was, I think, was some point last year. I think it was mid last year, the last time I was there. And we went to a couple of places. So we went to this cafe down by the bay before we went to the Experience, and then we went for some food at lunchtime after the Experience. And I'll tell you what, mate, I lost count of the amount of people just walking around Cardiff in Doctor Who T-shirts, hoodies, fezzes on, Doctor Who bags, the whole lot.
Yeah.
It just draws so many people to Cardiff in general anyway. So I think it's fantastic. Oh, crikey. I think it's great that this has been done and so many people have signed it. So I just really I'm hoping that the count... There is a little bit of me that thinks this is a losing battle because the council have said, well, a spokesman anyway for Cardiff Council did say that it was always planned to only be a 5-year thing.
Yeah.
So that's disheartening to hear. And they said that it was, the council had funded the construction and the building and all that stuff. And the council have said that the agreement was always intended to be for 5 years only anyway, reflecting the nature of the attraction. The decision to close the Experience at the end of the lease next summer, which is this summer, has been mutually agreed by all parties, including the BBC worldwide. So that's sad because sometimes when you have like various things, because the BBC might have said, well, we're not happy about it, because it's great for, our fans of Doctor Who, but there's nothing we can do. Our hands are tied because it's the council. But it's not that situation. Everybody is on board to say, yep, we'll do it for 5 years and then we'll close it. So there is a part of me that thinks, oh man, everyone's just in agreement. Yeah, we're going to close it. But maybe the petition will make a slight difference. You never know. Maybe because there's so many people who have signed it, they'll look at it and think, well, 11,000 people booking tickets.
Yeah, think of the dosh.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, I'd love to see it make a difference. I would, it's going to be so sad to see it close. So I echo your thoughts. I mean, the only thing I would say is we don't know what the BBC have got planned though. So although they might close this, they might have a grand scheme of we already know they're going to be thinking about when the Chibbers takes over and the new start and all that. We already know that. So maybe they've got something in mind that it's going to move somewhere else. Maybe it'll stay in Cardiff. There's lots of rumours about Doctor Who being made in Manchester when Chibbers takes over. So perhaps they're going to tie it in with that. We just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But as long as it does reopen somewhere, I'll be pleased. But I do have to say, echoing what you just said, it would be sad to see it leave Cardiff because, like you, when I went down, was that last year? I think so. There were Doctor Who fans everywhere, and plus, you feel like you're stepping into the world of Doctor Who, not just at the Experience, but from the minute you walk onto the Mermaid Quay and you've got because I'm stood at the Torchwood entrance and you've got, the Millennium Centre opposite you. You've got Eddie's Diner just 2 seconds around the corner from that, there's so much been filmed there.
Yeah.
that you just feel it's its natural home. So you feel like you're in the experience even before you've got anywhere near it. You're in the heart of it on the Mermaid King in Cardiff. So it feels like it's natural home to me. I'd be so sad to see it go to somewhere else like Manchester or London. But I hope, I just hope it does. Even if it has to leave Cardiff, I hope it survives somewhere else. But like you, I would preferably like to see it stay in Cardiff, even if the show starts getting made somewhere else. Yeah. I think it just feels like its natural home, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
the building that they made specifically for it is awesome as well. It's a great place. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
There's still time to put even more signatures on this, by the way. So if you can if you just do a search for the Doctor Who Experience petition, it will be on the petition site 38 degrees. That's the correct one. Because I think there's another petition that was going around the same time, but you want the one that's run by Bex Faraday. And so there's still time to get your name and sign that. All you need is your name and email, and that's it. And let's get as many on there as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
defo. That's it for news.
That's it.
Shall we rattle through a few merch items? Let's get the
We
Daleks
got a few
in.
nice merch bits. Yeah, get them
in. Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Oh, steelbooks.
It certainly is pretty, though, this one.
Steelbooks, you're taking over my life, man. Although I'm glad to say I'm getting quite a nice little collection of steelbooks just for Who.
Yeah.
I only own a couple of other steelbooks, and they're Star Wars, I think. But I love this, I'm loving the whole Doctor Who steelbook thing. It all started with the Spearhead from Space one for me.
Oh, which is gorgeous, isn't it?
It's
beautiful
awesome.
steelbook, that is, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we got a new one, which is out, and I pre-ordered this instantly, which I think you did as well.
I did as well, yeah.
And it's for Series 1, the Eccleston series, and I tell you what, mate, the artwork on this one is beautiful.
It is. It looks great inside as well. It opens up to a photo of Billy and the Doctor, obviously, in the TARDIS console room. And it's the nice sort of, what would you call it? I was going to say greeny, but because I'm colourblind, it's probably not. But it's when the TARDIS console looked just, absolutely gorgeous. The Ninth Doctor and 10th Doctor's console. It's a beautiful steelbook, though. The good thing is we both pre-ordered it straight away when it was $34.99, I think. We were like, golly, but it almost immediately came down in price to $24.99. So, which is still expensive, but it's certainly much better.
It is, yeah. And so, just give you some detail. The outside, so the front cover and the back cover have got this really, really just stunning artwork. And I recognise the artist as well, and I can't place the name.
Is it Lee Binding?
It could be. It could be.
That name seems to spring to mind.
Yeah. Basically, it's got the Doctor and Rose on the front cover, and it's got the Doctor sort of got his hand outstretched. Really cool. But for me, the back cover looks amazing. It's got the TARDIS with Bad Wolf sort of spray painted over the front, and it's surrounded by Daleks, and it just absolutely, it's just stunning. So there's no way that this was going to go and not be ordered. And yeah, the inside photo is really nice as well. It's one of the very early production photos that they took before the series even went out, the first series. So it's got the Doctor on the left, Rose on the right, and they're standing in front of the TARDIS console, obviously. And they haven't lit up the console.
No.
So it's just some real basic studio lighting, but it looks awesome. It looks really, really good. And and this will be the fourth version that I'll own of this series now.
That is the only problem, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've got the original box set that they released on DVD years ago. I've got it on a Blu-ray already when they just re-released them as the upscaled versions. There'll be this one, and I've also got the digital series one as well.
All right.
So I'm covered. So wherever I go, I can, I've got various copies. I can watch.
But if there's one series you want to have on lots of formats, I think this is the one. Like, you wouldn't want Series 6, loads of versions of that. Series 1, I think, is a gem. It's just a little gem.
Yes.
So I really don't mind buying it again. But yeah, you are right. I've got it on a few different versions as well. When does this come out? Because I've just been looking on Twitter. It is Lee Binding who did the cover.
Yeah.
He posted a little video because they've sent him a little preview copy of it, so he's already got it. And there's like a little tiny short little video on his Twitter just of him showing you the back and front, saying, "Oh, look what I've been sent." So yeah, he's done a very, very nice job on that. When does it actually come out?
It's out the end of this month, March 20th.
Oh, excellent. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It has listed a load of extras on here, and I can't remember. Now, this is going to be a bit of a letdown for everybody. Me just saying that I own this in various formats. I can't remember what features are on what. Now, it does. So do any of these ring a bell? So we've got BBC Breakfast interview with Chris Eccleston.
Yeah.
Destroying the Lair. I know that one's on the DVD box set. Making Doctor Who with Russell T Davies. Walking the Dead. Laying Ghosts. Yes, these are on the box set already.
I think they are. I'm just looking down the list. I think they are. I'm just thinking as well, because I know we have a lot of listeners outside the UK, like Sammy in Australia, and a lot of US listeners. This is an Amazon exclusive to the UK. Just to let you know. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to get it. I would assume, aren't there, Gary? There must be ways around it to get it. But yeah, just to let you know, it's a UK Amazon exclusive, the Steelbook, at the moment. I don't know of any plans to release it outside the UK, but there could well be.
Probably, yeah. I mean, on Amazon, it's listed as Region B or Region 2. However, I know that I'm not sure if it's the same with the BBC or various TV programs, but a lot of Blu-rays are region 3 these days. So that could be the case, because I know Amazon incorrectly report the regions all the time. Because I remember looking at lots of different TV and movies, and then reading down the Amazon reviews, or when people have asked the question about it on Amazon. That's always something that comes up on Blu-rays is, can I play it on my UK player or my US player, whatever it is, Australian player? And somebody always pops up and says, no, it's region 3, don't worry, it will work on. Because they did that with An Adventure in Time and Space.
That's right, yeah.
The US import, that does work on UK players, because the Blu-ray disc is region 3, but the DVD is a region locked.
That's right, yeah.
So it could be a case that this is the same thing, that the Blu-rays are okay anywhere. And so I would take the Amazon listing with a pinch of salt, but it's worth checking, obviously, if you can try and find out for sure if you're going to order it outside the UK.
Yeah, true.
But it does look beautiful, though. So Series 1, get it from Amazon. It's out at the end of this month.
End of this month, yes. Look forward to that being rammed through the letterbox in a couple of weeks. Right, in other news, big finish. Last year, the 10th Doctor Adventures Volume 1 came out as a limited edition. I think we both bought the limited one, didn't we?
We did,
because you could buy the stories separate if you wanted, but they did like a nice box set. It's like a sort of book format, I suppose you'd call it, with the 3 stories. So it was David Tennant, Catherine Tate going back, reprising their roles. It was really good, nice little set. And the limited edition featured like a bonus disc with lots of interviews and all that sort of stuff, which I have to say, from what I remember, was really good. I seem to remember really liking the interview disc, because just hearing Tennant and Tate together, just talking, about the making of and stuff, they're just so funny together, those two. They clearly get on very well. So, but anyway, that has now finally sold out. So a year later, pretty much, it's sold out. I'm surprised it didn't sell out quicker, actually. I remember when they announced this, it was quite big news. So what Big Finish have decided to do is they're releasing what they call a vanilla set, which will feature the 3 stories, but without the bonus disc of extra features. So you get, Technophobia, Time Reaver, and what was the third one? Oh, Death and the Queen are the 3 stories you get in it. And it doesn't really show you exactly what the packaging is going to be like. I'm assuming, I get the feeling it'll be like one of their, what do they call it? Not a jewel case, but...
It is a jewel case, yeah.
Is it a jewel case?
Yep.
Right,
yep.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it'll be like that. And the price is £30, so it's £10 a disc, which does work out slightly cheaper than buying them separately, so they are still available separately. Interestingly, you used to be able to buy the 3 stories as a bundle, which I think worked out, I can't remember now, I think it worked out slightly cheaper. I did go on the site to check this morning, and you can no longer buy them as a bundle.
No, you can't.
Which is a little bit cheeky. So I'm pretty sure they were, it might have been the same price, but it was certainly around, I thought it was 28. I don't know. I thought it was slightly cheaper to actually buy the bundle, but they've actually removed that. You can't buy them as a bundle anymore. So you can either buy them singly or this vanilla box set release for £30 is the options available to you. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that have already got it. There might be somebody out there that's still thinking of picking it up. It's a nice set. It's good, isn't it? We weren't blown away by it, but we both enjoyed it, didn't we? We both thought it was a really good, fun listen.
Yes. Oh, I think we actually reviewed this. We did a proper review of it, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, exactly that. It wasn't anywhere near the top. It wasn't going to be in anyone's top 3s or top 5s, whatever you want to call it. But it was still an enjoyable listen. Just, Tennant and Tate together they are fantastic.
They are. I do think the price is I do think Big Finish have been a bit. I would have really put this around about the sort of 20-25 mark if they're going to do a vanilla release of it. I think 30 is a bit, especially as they've removed the bundle option.
Yeah,
I think it's a bit cheeky, really. It should be cheaper, but there you go.
Do you know what? It is a little bit cheeky. A little bit. I think this should be £20.
Yeah.
However, we do understand, like we said before, Big Finish. They are still a smallish independent company. They do have to make their money, and it's something that's I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here.
Oh,
but something that I've considered, and you're going to hate me for this, mate.
Oh,
that's something that I've considered over the last couple of weeks. We're looking at Big Finish and purchasing Big Finish stuff. Is I might make the jump and go to digital only Big Finish.
Oh no!
And I'll tell you why. I will tell you why.
Go on.
If I purchase, say, 20 Big Finish titles across a year, and I buy the CD versus the download, I think I would have saved myself nearly £80.
Really?
Because the disc version is always at least £5 more.
Yeah, not always, but yeah, sometimes. I mean, I'm just thinking of the War Doctor box sets. I think that they used to be £20 pre-order, and I think the digitals were the same. It depends. I think if they're doing a pre-order, the price isn't always as different. But I think very often, when they come out, it can be. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I'm talking about when you just go on and you order a standard story from Big Finish. You always get the CD prices. Like this, for example, the CD price is £30. The download only is 25.
Yeah,
so you might, so you might think, well, a £5, that's not too much. But when you've bought like 15, 20 Big Finish stories over the course of a year, I don't know exactly how much, but it's at least £50.
Oh, I can imagine it does add up pretty quick. Yeah.
So I'm thinking that might be an option for me. I'll tell you why, mate. I don't have a physical CD player in my room at the moment.
Right.
I did have a little while ago, but I don't have one at the moment. I need to, if I'm going to listen to music, I need to fire up my little Apple external CD player thingy. All of my stuff now I listen through iTunes and Spotify. So for me, it makes sense to do that. So I would say that if you're looking at Big Finish stuff at the moment and you are, looking at the CD versus download, it could be, I know a lot of us, don't get me wrong, I will buy like some special features now and then. Like we mentioned when this first came out, it was in that really nice book format, and that was all really cool. So I will probably still pick those up, but I'm 90% sure that I might shift over to download now.
I can understand that. I mean, the thing is, I won't. I know Nick Briggs will be delighted to hear you saying that, because I think Big Finish would love it if they did download only.
Yeah.
Because their physical format CDs have definitely, in terms of their. I'm talking about standard releases. In terms of the packaging has reduced. I mean, you used to get little production photos and stuff inside the booklet. You don't anymore. It's just literally a one-page folded booklet now. The actual physical format has really gone down in terms of what you get for your money because of production costs. But unless they do a limited edition, which I think we would both agree, they are absolutely fantastic. They're limited editions in terms of what you get. In the production of it, but I can see why you do that. I mean, I wouldn't, but then again, I'm thinking of the space as well.
Yes,
we both have this problem of trying to find room for all this stuff. So I can understand it from that point of view as well. It's just the prices. I think, like you said, I know they're a small company, Big Finish, but And I do get why some of their stuff is pricey. I don't mind paying it because you get the free download of each CD, and I love the fact they do that. That's why I will always buy from Big Finish. As long as they give you the free download with the CD, I will always buy directly from Big Finish, because I love that they do that. But yeah, space is a problem. And just going back to the prices, yeah, I think sometimes I just find their pricing erratic, I suppose, is the best way to put it. So I can't understand why a release that's been out a year is 30, and yet the War Doctor box set is 20, or well, now 23 because they've put it up. You know, I can never figure out how they work out their prices, because they seem to really, really vary. Because this is a 3 CD set. Doom Coalition's a 4 CD set, I think.
It is.
And that's 20 quid, and that's a new release. And I just don't get their pricing, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I like you, I just think it should be a little bit cheaper, but there we go.
Yeah. And so we're going, I'm not finished with this.
Okay. Get that rant button out.
Right. This is annoying. I love Big Finish. We love Big Finish.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I have to agree with you, their pricing is ridiculous sometimes. And I'll tell you why. I've been saying to you, haven't I, for approximately a year now, that I really want to pick up the 6th Doctor story, The Last Adventure.
Yep.
And I've been holding off because how long has it been out? It's 2015 that came out, August 2015, right? And this is another reason why I'm saying I might shift to download only. If you want to buy The Last Adventure from Big Finish right now on CD, it is still £45.
It's a lot of dough, isn't it?
The download price, 25. That is a huge difference. That's 20 quid buys you another Big Finish story.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And I've no idea why this particular story has stayed at the top whack price now for over a year and a half, something like that.
Yeah, no, I totally get you. And then on the other end of that, you've got, like I said, the new releases going out, like War Doctor set, Doom Coalition, 20 quid. And you're sort of thinking, well, what? It seems to be such a big jump, I suppose. Yeah, I do hear what you're saying.
Yeah, if it's a nice box set or a special edition, whatever, then fine. I'll probably buy the physical thing still.
Yeah.
Because you and I are both in agreement, the shelf has to look good.
It does.
The merch shelf has to be looking legit. You can't just
top point.
Yes. So, but I think, mate, now that I've spoken myself into a rant, I think I am going to shift over to download just to save the pennies and the space.
And maybe just pick up the odd special edition or something where you think, I'm getting something a bit different here, or something limited. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So sorry about that, guys. Little mini rant there. Not enough to warrant the rant jingle that we haven't heard for a while.
We haven't heard it in a while, have we? No.
But there we go. Yes. Anyway, the 10th Doctor Adventures, you can purchase the basic 3-disc set.
Yeah.
In summary. Right. A couple more bits to go through. Real Time Pictures, which is a very small company who do sort of TV documentaries and very small things like that, have put up for pre-order on Amazon, and I'm assuming some other places as well, these kind of documentary look into some past Doctors. So I first saw this when they announced the Patrick Troughton one. And they basically, I'm not sure if they're going to do any other classic Doctors, but these discs are just called The Doctors. And then they've got the insert actor name here, years. So we've got the Doctors, the Pat Troughton years. And I love that they don't call it the Patrick Troughton, they just call it the Pat Troughton years. We've got the John Pertwee years and the Tom Baker years. And these are essentially just a trip down nostalgia road. For any fans of these particular classic Doctors, they're essentially like they've got a bunch of actors who starred alongside the Doctor at the time, and they're just sort of, reminiscing about working with Pat Troughton or John Pertwee, whoever it is, and some of the experiences they went through when they were making Who, and like a bunch of interviews and some behind the scenes stuff and photos that we haven't seen yet. And they're up for, so the Patrick Troughton and the Tom Baker ones are 15 quid. And the old Pertwee, bless him, his one for some reason is $9.99. But the good news is that these are multi-region DVDs. So that is explicitly stated that they are region 0. So there are no Blu-rays here, good old-fashioned DVD. And They will be out in June. So the Pat Troughton years is out 12th of June. The next one, the John Pertwee years, that's out this month, in a few days, in fact, March the 6th. The John Pertwee one and the Tom Baker one is out later on in the year, September.
Yeah, they might be quite interesting to have a look at, I think.
What do you reckon to these, mate? I'm not seeing these.
No, I haven't even. I'm assuming that the thing is, they're not very clear in the description. Are they new interviews that they've gone and filmed? Because Nick Briggs is involved, isn't he? Did you say?
He is. Yeah.
So yeah, are they new interviews or are they archive interviews that they've thrown together? I just don't know. I might buy one and just see what it's like, because I guess that'll give you an indication of what the rest are going to be like. I just don't know. I think these could go either way. They're either going to be like, you're either going to put them on and think, oh, these are pretty cool. I think I get the idea they're going to be pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not going to be that professional, I don't think. It's not going to be like a BBC production, but it's going to be a bit fan made. But I get the impression it could be good, because I've got some of the other Mythmakers DVDs, which are, again, feel quite sort of, I can't think of the word, not fan made, but Independent, thank you. Yeah, yes. A bit independent in their style, but I still really enjoy them, if you know what I mean. Even though the sort of picture's a bit fuzzy, the editing's a bit, basic and all that sort of thing, I still find the content quite enjoyable. So I'm hoping these will be the same. I don't know if anyone managed to make it right to the very last seconds of last week's podcast when we ran out of music. But I suddenly remembered, because obviously these always come up with an Amazon link. But I'd suddenly remembered at the very end of last week's podcast that a shop called Galaxy 4 quite often do these DVDs, and they tend to be quite a bit cheaper. For example, actually with this one, they've got the same price for John Pertwee's $9.99. But it's worth checking out Galaxy 4 as well, because I've bought a lot of stuff from them over the years. And they're a nice little independent shop as well. I think they're based in Sheffield. They've actually got a physical shop.
Cool.
In fact, I've just seen that Matthew Waterhouse is doing a signing there soon. So, but they're cool. The reason I mention them is because whenever I have ordered from them, they've been really good at getting stuff out. In fact, sometimes I've been amazed that I've ordered something sort of late in the afternoon and it's popped up the next morning, and I never quite know how they do it so quickly. Not always like that, but just to say, I've always had good service. So check out Galaxy 4. They tend to be quite good on price with these DVDs. I don't know if they've got some connection to real time or whatever, but yeah. But I don't know, might just buy one and see what it's like, I think, and then decide whether to get the others.
Yeah, I might pick up the John Pertwee one because it's only a tenner. See what the format's like, because it looks like the format's going to be the same across the other ones, but it's made by the same guy that did the Minds Game and Downtime independent films.
Yeah.
So it could be quite cool. We'll get hold of one and let you guys know. But yes, they're coming out throughout the year.
Yeah. Okay, and lastly, in the merch section, we do love a mug, don't we, Gary? I do actually love a mug.
Yeah,
I love a good Doctor Who mug.
Yep.
And gbposters.com have just released a whole blimmin' wealth of new Doctor Who mugs. And I got to say, these look pretty good, actually. They're quite striking in design. So we've just had a load more added this morning. So how's best to describe them? Well, for example, the ones that we've had added this morning feature one sort of creature on each mug. So we've got like a Weeping Angel, a Zygon, a Cyberman, and a Dalek, which might sound a bit boring, but when you actually see them in the flesh, and we'll put a link in the show notes, I assume, they look really striking. So they're just sort of one colour. So we've got red, green, yellow, and blue, is it? Or is that purple?
That's blue, yep.
It is blue, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, and they're sort of done in a sort of graphic style. So even the Cyberman, which is the new series Cyberman, which I can't stand, even that looks good on this mug because of the way it's been drawn. So they're very nice. But before that, they did also announce some other mugs, which are very different in style. I'm going to save Mr. Huffle till last because I know he's your favourite. But they're doing sort of like there's a TARDIS interior mug, which really stands out to me, which has got like the TARDIS interior wrapped around the mug and then a TARDIS inside, which looks very Legopolis to me. You got a standard TARDIS mug, you got one with all the monsters on it and all that sort of thing. But yeah, you'll put a link in, will you, Gary? Because it's probably good just to go on and have a look at them yourself and just see. But
yes,
they look pretty good. as Doctor Who mugs go, they look pretty good. And as I said, there is one that really did grab my attention, which is has got Mr. Huffle on it from the Return of Doctor Mysterio, because I loved that scene and you didn't you? You thought it was awful, but I loved that scene. Now I would have bought this mug, except I don't like what they've written on it, because it's got a picture of Mr. Huffle, which I think was brilliant. And then what does it say? Just in case you ever need to interrogate a Time Lord.
It's ridiculous.
I don't like the tagline on it, which is a real shame, because I'd love a Mr. Huffle mug. I hope they do a different one.
The
I just don't like
on the mug is almost as ridiculous as the scene and the character.
No, just don't like that. It's a shame. That would have been a purchase for me, but no, they need to think of something else. It's as if they couldn't think what to write on it. It's a terrible tagline. But the rest of the mugs look great. Personally, I think they look really good. I'm very tempted. Definitely going to get that TARDIS interior one. It's the fourth Doctor's interior, isn't it, with the TARDIS on it?
I think so.
Definitely picking that up. Yeah.
So GB Posters, just to elaborate a little bit more, they've actually released a whole load of new Doctor Who stuff over the last few weeks, and they've got some really good prints and posters as well that look really nice. So if you just head over to gbposters.com/Doctor-Who, it's labelled as posters. It says Doctor Who posters, but they've got all the mugs and all kinds of stuff on there. But it's they're doing some really nice stuff. I mean, they've got a really nice comic book mug as well, Doctor Who comics mug, which looks really nice.
Yeah,
and they've got loads of mugs on here now. They must have like 20 odd different ones, which look quite nice. But yes, check them out. Indeedy. That's going to do for news and merch.
Yeah.
Oh, we went through a lot there.
We did. We had quite a lot this week. We've gone from nothing to loads, haven't we?
Yeah, one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. What are we going to review this week? Give it to me.
It is a bit of Ninth Doctor action this week. About time. I've missed him. It's The Empty Child.
Mommy!
What's this then? Never easy being the only child left out in the cold, you know.
I suppose you'd know.
I do actually, yes.
It's not exactly a child.
Mommy!
Right, everybody out across the back garden under the fence. Now, go, move! Come on, baby, we've got to go, all right? It's just like a game, just like chasing. Take your coat, go on. Go!
Mummy? Mummy? Please let me in, Mummy. Please let me in, Mummy.
You all right?
Please let me in.
You mustn't let him touch you.
What happens if he touches me?
He'll make you like him.
And what's he like?
I've got to go.
Nancy, what's he like?
He's empty. It's him. He can make phones ring, he can. Just like with that police box you saw.
Mommy.
God, it's creepy. It's so creepy.
This episode is really creepy, actually.
Yeah.
Especially one of the last scenes as well. It's horrific. Anyway, The Empty Child was brought to us on the 21st of May, 2005.
Wow.
It was written, surprisingly, by Stephen Moffat.
Very surprisingly.
And directed by James Howes. I'm going to say Howes. Overseen by Mr. RTD. Well, that must have been a very funny few meetings to watch.
I just read this morning, because I always get the wiki link up just to fill in the names and stuff, and I noticed on there it says that they had a discussion in a restaurant, which is why the ships in the story are called Tula, because that was the name of the restaurant in Hammersmith. And it says that the meeting was videotaped and is available on the DVD release of the complete first series. Now, I don't remember this extra, but as soon as we finish recording, while I have my lunch, I'm going to go and find that, because I would love to see this meeting between Russell T Davies and presumably Stephen Moffat and everybody else involved. I don't remember that on the DVD, but it says it on Wiki, so it must be true.
I don't remember seeing that either.
No, unless it's because it has got Easter eggs on that DVD, unless it's an Easter egg. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see that and find it, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah.
Yeah.
So the story for this one is relatively simple. It's about a small child walking around in a gas mask who is scaring everyone else, especially the other children and so on. It turns out that it's I don't want to go too much into that because we haven't reviewed part 2 yet.
No, we'll get on to part 2
So
later in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so the Doctor and Rose have landed in sort of wartime London, where the Blitz and the bombings are in full swing, and they kind of get it's kind of splits up, doesn't it? So Rose goes off and she has like a mini adventure with Captain Jack. It's the first time we see Captain Jack's character, isn't it?
Yeah.
So she goes off, she gets kind of literally swept up into the air. Captain Jack saves her. They have this whole thing. He thinks that she's a time agent and all that stuff. On the other side of the story, we have the Doctor who is trying to figure out what's going on with this little child, because he sort of bumps into this girl called Nancy, and she's like the ringleader. She sort of looks out for these homeless kids during the Blitz and so on, and they're sort of all scared and running away from this little kid in the gas mask, and the Doctor can't figure out why they're not helping him, why they're all scared, and then she keeps telling him to go and see this other Doctor and he'll explain it all, and they'll sort of meet together at the end of the episode, and we have that very horrific scene, which I'm very surprised made it into.
He is still horrific, even now. You're on about the bit when the Dr. Constantine's face turns into a gas mask. Is that the bit you're on about?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific. I was sat there thinking, gosh, this is strong stuff.
Yeah.
It's brilliant though.
That's great.
It's so good. It's so classic. Sort of, it wouldn't be out of place in a Philip Hinchcliffe Doctor Who, would it? It's really full on scary. I loved it. Yeah.
So the episode is full of very creepy little things going on with like phones ringing and all that stuff by themselves, and it's a great scene with the Doctor's TARDIS phones ringing, but it's not connected to anything, and he's very bemused. He's trying to figure out what's going on, and it's a great lead up into the second episode. So what do you reckon to this one, mate? What do you?
I absolutely loved it. I loved it, mate. Yeah, I watched it. I mean, it has and always will be, I think, one of my favourite Doctor Who's of all time. Actually, like I think you said on Twitter the other week, we consider the new series just as much a part of the old series. It don't sort of distinguish between the two. And this is, I think, it's superb. I did resist going on to the second part because we're going to review it after next week's classic, but I really wanted to. Even though I know what's coming and I know what happens and I've seen it, I don't know how many times, I love it. And I think this is a great part 1. It really just builds beautifully to a really good cliffhanger as well, a really scary cliffhanger. I think this is, and I'm sure this is why you said it as well. It's why it's so surprising to see Stephen Moffat's name on it, because it is such a fluent, it just flows and builds brilliantly. This part 1, I loved it. I really can't fault much in it at all, to be honest. There are a couple of tiny little bits which I'll go into, but I think it's a great part 1 personally.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. I think this is one of the best stories that we've seen since 2005. It's which goes back to just reinforce what we've said many times, that when the Moff isn't showrunner, he's capable of writing a cracking.
It is. It just doesn't feel like his style at all.
No.
And it makes me wonder about that meeting you just mentioned. Did Russell, was it all, I don't know, was it all timey-wimey at any point? Like, how much influence did Russell have on it? Because it really does flow brilliantly. And I'm one of those people that made the mistake of assuming that Stephen Moffat created the character of Captain Jack because it's his first story to feature him, which of course Russell T Davies actually came up with the character, didn't he? So yes. It does make me wonder how much of Russell is in here, because it doesn't feel like a Stephen Moffat story. And I'm not taking credit away from him. Clearly he wrote it because his name's on it, but I do wonder how much influence other people had on it, like RTD and stuff, because I just think it's fantastic. I love the whole concept of it, and the production's brilliant as well. I mean, this is this is over, what is it, 11 years old?
Yes,
more than that.
Yep.
It still looks great. Yes, some of the CGI. I mean, that's the, you know, when I said earlier, there's a couple of little points that, you know, yes, some of the CGI maybe is dated a bit, but it still looks good to me in terms of it's got a charm about it. I mean, there's a bit of green screen going on with Big Ben and stuff, but even that doesn't look terrible considering it's 11 years old. I just think, yeah, I just could go on and on and on. I just think it's great. You know, I feel like we're in the Second World War. You know, they don't go over the top to shove it down your throat saying, "Oh, we're in the war, we're in the war." You get the idea. They've got some old cars littered around these rainy streets, and I just really feel we are plonked into 1941 in terms of the production. It's just kept very basic, but you know.
Yeah, I read you. Yeah,
I think the CGI is not too bad. You know, we get some shots of the planes coming towards you, and when they're having the blitz and stuff, and it's not terrible. I think it's quite nice actually. It's not too bad, the CGI in this. There isn't that much of it, I suppose, which is good.
That is good. Yeah. I echo your thoughts, buddy. It's I think the style of this one was really kind of spot on as well, because you say that you feel like we were plonked in the middle of World War II. During the Blitz, and to me, it's the color grading and the production of it, because it all does look in a lot of scenes it almost looks black and white. There's very little color going on because a lot of the sort of the dark rainy streets and everything like that, and the scenes where they're inside the living room where all the homeless kids are having a meal. You know, in the clip that I just played you, and it's almost like got a sort of a sepia overlay tone to it where it gives it that vintage kind of feel, and there isn't much in the way of bright colours anywhere, with the exception of Rose's t-shirt. That's like the most colourful thing.
That's right, yeah. So the Union Jack,
Yeah, so it does give you this very it's this very kind of old school vintage look about it.
It's hard to explain, isn't it? Because I think if you compare it to something like what's the episode with the wire in it that's supposed to be set in the coronation? What's that called? Idiot's Lantern.
It
doesn't feel. I mean, it just feels like it's modern day. It doesn't have that nostalgic feel somehow, and nor does perhaps Victory of the Daleks, which again is set in wartime. It just did. I don't know, something about the production in this story. As I said, they've kept it simple, but it does feel like it could easily be, wartime, and I liked that. I was totally sort of engrossed in what was going on in it. And there are some. What I love about it is the creepy scenes, like just going back to the start when the kid puts his hand for the letterbox and it's got like a scratch on it.
Yes.
And she's like, "Don't touch him, don't touch him." And it's like, it's just really creepy. It's like, first time I watched it, I was blown away. I was like, why? What's going to happen? And obviously, you really think the doctor's going to just let him in, and and then he's going to turn into it. It builds brilliantly. And you said about the TARDIS phone. I mean, I know we're so used to it ringing now. It's been done loads. But imagine, I watched this when it first went out. Imagine how cool that was for the first time. Because, this was episode 9, I think, in the first series.
Yep.
So I don't think it had rung. Well, it hadn't rung up to this point. So it was like, this is all new. Doctor Who's back on the screen, and suddenly the TARDIS phone's ringing, and you're like, "Wow, what's going on now?" It was all very, very exciting back then, and for me, it still works. It's still exciting, even though the phone now seems to ring all the blimmin' time with, the 11th Doctor and stuff. But yeah, it was really good back then, and it still is now, I think.
I totally agree with you that it works really well, even still today. There's no. Because some episodes are like that. They do feel quite dated early on, and some of them haven't held up that well. Even, I mean, dare I say it, even some of Series 8, even a couple of those stories, even now they don't look, particularly great. But for some reason, this one, it's one of those timeless stories. I think it will just work, for a really long time.
Yeah.
And I think that the direction and the production are so good with this, because they seem to. I mean, the pacing is perfect for me, and they seem to have this really good timing to it, where there is like these scenes where, in order to set up what's going on, they've got these quite long, wide camera angles where they show like some of the street and it's raining, and you can just see a bit of the TARDIS. It's not right there, smacked in front of your face. You can just see the doors of the TARDIS, and you've got the one scene that springs to mind is when the Doctor finally goes up to the hospital towards the end, and you've got that big classic old Hammer horror lightning striking outside the big gothic looking scary hospital, and you've got the gates that look like the classic old Batman Arkham Asylum.
That's it. So the camera swings down. It's a great shot.
All of that stuff, but it doesn't take you out of the story. You know, like with some classic Who where you've got really long sweeping. We have some of that in the Pertwee and the Baker era, where you have these really long panning shots that seem to last forever.
Oh golly, what's that? What's the first story in Tom Baker's last season called? With the Brighton Beach, and it goes on forever.
The deck chairs.
Oh my goodness.
And the windbreakers. Yeah, it goes on. Forever. Whereas on these, they have these kind of moments there where you have like these little scenes that set up what's going on, but they don't take you out of the story. It's like just a few seconds, and they look fantastic. You're like, wow, we're here now, and then it cuts to, the scene that's going to follow. So the exposition and just the direction and everything is just spot on. I never reach for my phone during this one.
No.
Or the second one. I'm just glued to it.
I will agree with the direction. I thought it was very good, actually. The direction of this, really nicely shot. Like you said, we get some good zoom in, jumpy moments as well. There's a bit where the kid shuts the door with his finger, and it's really well shot. Yeah, it's one of the notes I made as well. Production and direction, absolutely spot on. I love some of the point of view shots we get early on as well. It's like this almost watery. We realise obviously halfway through the episode, we're seeing things through the kid's eyes through the gas mask.
Yes,
because we get shots of like the TARDIS, and it's like a sort of a mirrory, watery effect point of view shot, which is really creepy as well. So yeah, presumably that's from the kid's point of view, because he's watching it all and following them around and all that. It's really well done. Yeah,
it's really well done, and I like also the visual aspect of the little child in the gas mask.
There's something really scary about it, isn't there?
Really scary, because because it sort of tricks you a little bit, because you think initially, well, it is during the Blitz. So you would expect to see, at least some, especially when the siren's going off or whatever, you would expect to see people in gas masks. That's just that was the done thing, right?
Yeah.
So it does trick you a little bit. You think, well, it's not out of place to see a kid in a gas mask during the Blitz. But then you sort of your mind kind of gets into it, and you think, well, why has he still got the gas mask on? Why is that still on, and everyone else is, okay? And then it really creeps you out when the Doctor's in the hospital at the end, and all the patients lying down have got gas masks.
So good that, yeah.
And then the Doctor sort of examines them, and then you see that they're like stitched into their skin. The mask is actually
so
part
well
of their...
done as well.
It is, isn't it?
The makeup is brilliant. The way it's molded into the skin, it's so well done.
It's amazing. Yeah.
I love that scene at the end where they all jump up, old Victor Meldrew's going, "Don't worry, they don't. That's all they do. They just sit there." You're saying about the kid as well with the gas mask. I've never noticed this before, and I'm starting to wonder if I imagined it. But there's one shot where we sort of get a close up of the gas mask, the kid in the gas mask, and I swear that they've very subtly made if you look, because you can't see his eyes, it looks like they've put an effect on to make him look empty. I can't explain it.
Yes,
I've never ever noticed that before. It's such a nice little effect and detail, and it is like, blink and you'll miss it, but again, it's just the fact that they went to the effort just to put that in. It's great. And I have watched this a few times. I just noticed it yesterday. It's like they're saying there's nothing in there, he's hollow. It's really, really good.
It's amazing. The other thing I like about this, before we talk about some characters, is there's a lot going on in the story, but it doesn't feel busy.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That is true. Yeah.
So oftentimes what happens is when the Doctor and the companion or the companions split up and they have these sort of diverse storylines, you end up cutting between a lot, and it can feel quite busy. But with this one, it's really, because we also have we were introduced to Captain Jack as well. So he's another character, and he's, obviously becomes a very big part of the Doctor Who universe in this, pre-Moffat era. And so there's a lot going on. So we have a little bit of his backstory and what's going on with him, and why him and Rose are doing what they're doing and all that stuff. And then we have the Doctor trying to figure out what's going on with the kids and all that. And it sort of all culminates at the hospital at the end, really, which is cool. But it doesn't, I never feel like, I wish it would slow down a bit, or I wish I'd had more time to see what was going on with those characters. The whole thing was just knits really nicely together for me. It's really good.
And also Moffat does have a tendency to make things busy, and quite often it has no relevance. That's what I find with a lot of Moffat scripts is he throws everything in the kitchen sink in there just for the sake of filling in the episode. Like, it has no consequence to the actual outcome or building the story, whereas I don't find that in this at all. Like you said, there's loads going on, but it's all there for a reason, and it all moves the story forward. You don't just get to the end and think, well, actually we didn't need half of that. It just shoved in there for the sake of it. But also scenes do get a chance to take their time. Like, we get quite a nice scene with Jack and Rose on top of his spaceship, which is quite slow, but it's a nice scene. It doesn't. I wasn't sort of sat there thinking, come on, get on with it. It's quite a nice scene of them just flirting in front of Big Ben, and it is quite funny when he switches on she asks for a light or something, and he switches on the light in Big Ben, doesn't he?
That's right, yeah.
He's such a blimmin' flirt. I think only Barrowman could play that part. I think if it had been anyone else, I'd have been groaning at the screen. But instead, because it's him, I was just like, I love it. I just love how flashy he is. He's such a flirt.
He is,
she falls for it. She's just bad. But no, it's a nice scene, and as I said, it takes its time. It doesn't feel like it's rushed or there to sort of drag the episode out. It all works.
It does work perfectly, pretty much.
Yeah.
Before we get on to characters, also I'd like to say that I really like the not knowingness going through this first episode. Because everything is obviously revealed in the Doctor Dances, the second part to it. But through this one, there's more questions than there are answers as you go through the story. Mainly, centered around the kid with the gas mask and so on. But you're also trying to figure out what's going on with Nancy as well, because she's obviously a key component in the story.
Yeah,
which is made even more obvious in the second one. But the Doctor's always got this look about her, like, why you? Why is it you that's looking after these kids, and why is the little child, sort of attracted to you? And we'd find that out. But it's I like that going through this episode. I remember watching it for the first time, thinking there's absolutely no way that I can leave any time between this and starting the next one. I have to watch part 2 right now, because I just can't leave it. I can't just watch it tomorrow or next week. I have to watch the Doctor Dances now to find out what's going on. And that, for me, is a great sign that this is a great story. This is the first episode, because when we're reviewing, say, classic stories, quite often don't watch like a 4-parter or a 6-part. I don't watch all of them, or rarely all 6 together, or all 4 of them together. I'll watch maybe the first 3 and then watch the next 3 or 2 and 2. But unless, there are some stories like The Brain of Morbius. I'll watch all 4 of them easy.
Oh yeah.
Or or some of our favourite classics, I'll watch them all together. And for me, in modern Doctor Who, this is a 2-parter that I will not watch separately.
It's very difficult not to go on to part 2. I would have quite happily moved on and watched it. I did resist, though. I honestly did. I thought, no, I will save it.
Did you?
I did, but I really wanted to. Yeah, I really, really wanted to. Like you, because I was just so... I've seen it before. It's not as if I don't know what happens, but I was just so loving it and so going along with the ride that I was, would have quite happily watched it all in one go. Yeah. I am looking forward to reviewing part 2, because although in my mind I think I like it as much as part 1, but I can't remember. I'll be honest with you, I am really looking forward to reviewing part 2, because and that's the other reason I didn't go straight onto it, actually, is because I think I know what I think of it, but most of the stuff I remember that I love actually happened in part 1. See, because they do mold into one story for me. It was quite hard before I watched it again last night. I was thinking, is part 2 as good? I honestly genuinely can't remember. I think it is. I think I love it, but I am really looking forward to following this episode up with part 2. to see if it all comes together as well as I think it does. Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. I did watch the second part immediately.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, as I said, I was like, oh, should I? Yeah, but I didn't. But I'm not surprised you did.
Yeah, I think, like I said, that's a good sign that a good story's been written and produced there when you can't wait to get the second part on.
Yeah,
and so on. Another sort of story element which I like is actually, let's talk about Captain Jack.
Okay, yeah.
As our first character, because he does provide quite a good, quite a different route in the story. So if you were to take Captain Jack out of it, it would be just a classic World War II story, and with the Doctor trying to find out what's going on with the child in the gas mask. Whereas Captain Jack sort of provides, I mean, he's quite key in the overall story because it was him that brought that ship down that crashed in London, wasn't it? And he initially thought that there was nothing inside it. It was like, was it a time capsule or something? And
something like that, yeah, because it was jumping through the vortex, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. And he brought it down and he thought it was empty, no life forms and all that stuff. But it turns out it was full of these little what did he call them?
Nanogenes.
Nanogenes, that's it. Yeah. And again, I don't want to speak too much about that because it's in the second part about how, that all happened. But it's really cool that we have his story that's providing like his character provides like the sci-fi-y bit to the story, doesn't it? So the bit where he sort of saves Rose, when she's falling down from the balloon and he saves her in the little force field.
Oh, in the beam. Yeah.
And we go inside his ship and then has that sort of really sort of fun to and fro between him and Rose, don't they? About he thinks that she's a time agent and can she negotiate, the price and terms and stuff, and she's just going with it because she really fancies him, and it's all very flirty and stuff. And then when Captain Jack and the Doctor meet, that's when they have this further conversation about who he is and where he's from, and this whole thing about the pod or the capsule, whatever that he's brought down. That for me was I really liked how they injected that part of it into the story and just kept the other part sort of classic, like World War II time, and Captain Jack provides like the futuristic side of the story. And he's such a good character as well.
He is. You get his character from The Off as well, don't you? Because he's like looking out the window in his little binoculars, and the first thing he says is "nice bottom" or something, isn't it?
That's right.
So he's like, staring at Rose's bottom, the cheeky so and so. And then he's also flirting with the guy who's the other officer in the room, and you just get his character straight from the get-go, don't you? You're like, okay, this guy's a bit of a lad.
Yeah, because he does. Yeah, he sort of turns around and he's like, you've got a nice bottom too, or
that's right,
a smack on the bum or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know what? We've said it so many times, but Russell T Davies knows how to create good characters.
That's why I want to know more about how. Yeah, I want to know how Captain Jack came to be. I must do a bit of research into his character development actually, and just find out how much RTD did create him. Because as I said, this is written by Stephen Moffat, but I don't know. I want to know more about his creation as character because he is a great character, and it is nice how he's popped up in Doctor Who since this story, and he's not been overused in my opinion, not like some. Like, I'm always quite pleased to see Captain Jack, whereas certain other characters, River Song, I sort of was a bit like, oh, you again. But I'm always pleased to see Jack, and he is used brilliantly in the series final as well of this series.
He is,
the way he comes back into it and stuff. So good character.
Good character, yeah. And also, not only is RTD responsible for making really good characters, but he knows how to write real good. If you think about how the Moff writes Clara and Danny and some of the stuff between Amy and the Doctor sometimes, and it's especially River Song as well. Some of the River Song stuff is a bit in the Moffat era, whereas the RTD stuff is I think as a character writer, RTD is miles ahead of the Moff. The Moff just is I think he's good at the story aspect, and he's good at sci-fi, and he's
good at ideas.
Yes.
He's good at sort of thinking, coming up with things like the Vash and the Rada. He's very good at coming up with new ideas. I can't take that away from him. But when it comes to character development, maybe not so much. Yeah.
Whereas I think Russell T Davies has that edge over the Moffat era. I think he can create great stories and stuff and characters, but he also can write for them really well. So what you see on screen is a much better performance, and it flows nicer, and it's not as wooden and all that stuff. But so
he's quite confident in his performance, actually, isn't he?
John Barrowman.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't get Captain Jack out of my head. He's quite, considering it's his first time we get to meet him. We do get his character pretty much straight off, and he does seem to be in character immediately. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like his first story, I suppose, is a good way of putting it. He just seems really assured in his performance, I thought, John Barrowman. Like, it's as if he's been in the series, I'm an old hand at this. It's as if he's been in it before. I just felt he played it really, really good. I am looking forward to seeing him in more of him in episode 2. I have to say, I really can't remember how much he's in it. To be fair, but he is good.
Yeah, I think he's in quite a bit of episode 2 as well.
I think he is. Yeah,
he is. Yeah.
Okay.
And Captain Jack, really good character. It's great and I think that's what they were looking for. I think they were looking for an actor who could immediately, as soon as 2 seconds in, just loads of confidence, really flirty, really sort of, just not shy about anything.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's good that I think Barrowman was a good choice in casting. That's what I mean. I think if you'd have got somebody else, he just hits the right notes. I just think if it had been someone else, you might have thought they were a bit pervy or a bit, I don't know. There's just something about the cheekiness of Barrowman that takes away anything from, because I don't know, if you imagine somebody else looking at roses behind through binoculars, you got to get the right actor, and I feel Barrowman is perfect for Captain Jack. And
it's great how him and Rose, their first encounter is very very flirty. One thing that I wasn't too keen on actually in the episode, and there's very few negatives for me, but is how Rose ended up sort of tangled in the blimp barrage balloon, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, right. Okay.
How she sort of gets lifted up miles up into the sky just by sort of being out in street level.
Only because I think she would have fallen. I mean, I do see what you mean there. It's for her to be able to hold on to that rope and not plummet. A little bit far fetched. Yeah.
I mean, it's okay in a way. It leads to a good meeting between Jack. Rose and Jack and stuff. It's quite cool. But I did think, well, would she have? She's miles up in the air at one point.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's funny when he gets her in the beam though, and he's like, hold on. She's like, to what? He's like, yeah, good point. And he just does it anyway before she's got time to think about it.
Yeah.
I like that little scene.
What's also as well is Jack's, Captain Jack as a character, his, what's the word? His ability to spot somebody and know what's going, because he says to her when he's got her in the sort of the tractor beam, I suppose you want to call it.
Yeah.
He tells her to turn her mobile phone off.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he obviously knows that she's not from that time. Because
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. So that's another cool thing there, that they made him a very
savvy.
Yeah. And what's the word? Sort of. I'm thinking of a word. It's gone out of my head. But yeah, he's got that sort of. He knows what's going on with people. He's not one of these sort of just rugged, sort of handsome fellows, but he's got no brain in his head.
I see. He's not Pex, is he?
He's not.
He's no Pex.
He's no Pex, but yeah, it's
he's on the ball.
He's on the ball. Yeah.
I hadn't even picked up on that about the phone. That's a really good point. It completely went over my head that he'd picked up on the fact that she was not from that time already. Yeah.
They didn't just make us off. You do see it a lot in TV and film where they make, the handsome, sort of the eye candy. They often make them quite stupid. They're there just to sort of, for pretty sake. You know what I mean? But he's actually is a very intelligent character.
So, and also a massive flirt.
And a massive flirt, yeah.
Yeah. No one is safe.
Well, nobody. Literally.
Nothing, actually. Yeah. Nobody and nothing.
Yeah. And there's a really, really one of the funniest scenes for me with Captain Jack is not in his story. And crikey, the name of the episode escapes me. But Captain Jack says, I can't tell you what I'm thinking right now. It's something to do. I don't know if it's Tennant's Doctor.
Oh, it's not Utopia, is it? Could be Utopia. You know, when he's clinging onto the front TARDIS and, and they get to the planet and he steps out. Is it that bit?
I'm not sure.
Oh.
The Doctor's talking about him and Donna, maybe?
Oh, okay.
I'm going to have to follow this up next week. But there's a scene where the Doctor's saying a bit of an innuendo, and we can tell even before Jack's said it that he actually says, I can't tell you what I'm thinking right now, because he's imagining in his head him being getting into it with the Doctor and with is it Donna or Rose? I can't remember. I'll follow this up next week. It's a hilarious scene anyway. But yeah, Captain Jack, what a character.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Let's talk about the kids and Nancy.
Right.
Because they're on the other side of the story in this, aren't they? That's, we see the Doctor sort of trying to figure out what's going on with those guys. And that's a really nice scene, actually, where they're all sort of passing their food around the table. And we see all of them together. So the adults and that family in that house are down in the air raid shelter. So that's their prime opportunity to sneak in and get a meal and all the rest of it. And then they're passing the food around, and the Doctor's there, isn't he? Just casually.
He just suddenly pops up at the table. Loved that scene. I really, really loved it. Yeah. Just because it was just funny, and his interaction with Nancy, it's the first time he sort of gets to really talk to her, isn't it? I've got to say, I'm just going to get this out there now. Florence Hoth, I think that's her name. Who plays Nancy. Superb. Absolutely love her character, and I love the way her and Eccleston spar off each other in this. She's great. She's really good. I totally believe her. Like, I find her so believable, because sometimes when people are trying to do that Cockney, it's the war, innit? They're trying to do that, and they've given her that character. But she underplays it beautifully. She doesn't do all of that sort of. Well, she's got the slang bit going on, but it's not over the top. She's great, I think, in this. I really liked her. And when she, how some people can do scared acting and some can't. She can. When she's hiding under that table, gearing up towards the cliffhanger in part 1, she looks terrified.
Yes.
And also when he's at the door, she's like, "Don't let him in." She's bang on the money for me. Again, whoever's doing the casting back in series 1, you've selected some good actors, because we don't always see this sort of caliber in Doctor Who. Sometimes they really chew the scenery. That is not the case with Florence. She's bang on it for me, and I love the way she stands up to the Doctor as well. She's like, "Oi, give that back! You've had 2 bits of meat. I'll be having that," and all that. Brilliant scene, love it. But
Great
especially because the interaction, Eccleston's just so good in that little bit as well. He does the comedy and then he switches to seriousness, and it's brilliant. I just love that bit.
It is great, and I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking pretty much the same thing about Florence Hoth. She's
good.
The thing that I liked about her character the most is you can tell that she's trying to be this strong character. She's trying to be this, almost ironically, this mother figure. To the kids, and she's trying to do her best to make sure that they're all fed and everyone, that they're safe. But when the Doctor seems to have a knack of bringing out this really vulnerable side to her. So you can tell that she's constantly in fear of something, and she's obviously very scared of the child in the gas mask and so on. But she has, as a performance, it's just brilliant to watch, because she does have that equal measure of being strong and that sort of typical London on the streets, no messing about, you do what you do, you need to do to survive sort of thing. But she's also got this real sort of,
vulnerability.
Yeah, she plays that vulnerability side really well. So We don't really see the other kids too much. I mean, there's some nice little interactions between
there is
the
some
Doctor
nice
and
bits,
so on.
Yeah.
And I think
there's a bit where he says something and they all laugh. They're like, "Hey!" And I thought this is great stuff going on here. This is really fun.
Yeah.
I can't think what it is. He says something silly, doesn't it? And all the other kids are like,
Yeah,
like,
it's something. Yeah, he says like they said, "Are you going to call the coppers?" And he says something like, "Coppers got better things to do than." Chase after you or something like that. And there was a giggle and stuff. And
But do you know the other scene I love as well is towards the end, you get Nancy and the Doctor. There's a bit on the bridge where there's some lovely dialogue as well. Something about the Doctor says, I did write it down, but I can't read my own writing. He says something about a mouse in front of a lion, and that's a nice scene.
Oh, yeah.
But just before that, there's a really great little moment between the Doctor and Nancy because she's quite frosty to him to begin with because she's like, well, where have you come from? She's, who the hell are you? And then there's a lovely scene where she starts to just defrost slightly. And I can't remember what the Doctor says, but she makes a joke about his nose and then his ears. And he's like, what are you on about? And there's a little smile between the two of them. It's so subtle and so beautifully acted. But they slowly start to sort of defrost, don't they, the two of them?
Yeah.
I can't remember what she says. She's like something about poking your nose in. She's like, wow, with that nose and
that's
ears.
right.
So he's like, what? I love that bit. I just thought the two of them together are really good.
It's the interactions, isn't it? Between they're really good. Yeah. We'll come on to Mr. Eccleston in a minute.
Yes.
Let's move on to Dr. Constantine.
I don't believe it.
So
he'll be furious if he's listening, won't he? Oh, can't get away from it, but yeah.
He's in it. He's not in it a lot. He's in it towards the end, isn't he?
No.
But what a cracking performance from him at the end.
I honestly, I wish he was in it more.
Yeah.
Because joking aside, Richard Wilson is a great actor. He's so good in that little scene when he's just chatting to the Doctor, isn't he? He's so good. I really wish he was in it more because he doesn't last long before the old gas mask comes out. And what a scene, though, because he just coughs at first, doesn't he? It's done brilliantly. It's not like he suddenly keels over and like, it's all built up brilliantly, like a little tiggly cough. He sits down. Suddenly you see the mark on his hand and you're like, uh-oh. It's so well directed, and the way that scene builds for me, it's brilliant. But he's so good in it. I just wish we got more of Dr. Constantine. I really do. Yeah. I really do. I just can't help but do. I don't believe it.
And and he stars in one of the most horrific scenes from.
It's horrific
from Doctor Who. The only thing that I can liken it to is in the Tennant episode where the ruthless businessman, forgotten his character name, turns into a nude at the end, and you see all the tentacles coming through his mouth.
Horrible. Yeah.
But this is kind of similar to that. He's, the scene just
even thinking about it.
Yeah, it is quite difficult to. I can imagine at the time, and probably now, if younger kids watch it, that must be really scary.
Because he opens his mouth really wide as if he's going to choke, and then this, the gas cylinder sort of comes out of his throat, and it's horrific. I must admit, I don't know if you know, but it says on Wiki that they've put the skull cracking sound effect back on for the DVD because it was taken off. They when this first went out, Stephen Moffat says it was never on there, but the production said that they had a cracking sound of the skull on that scene, but they thought it was too horrific, so they took it off. I mean, the scene's pretty horrific anyway, but Moffat says that never happened. I don't know, there's a bit of confusion, but it says on Wiki that on the DVD, the skull cracking is on there, and I can't remember, and I'm really annoyed that I forgot to listen out for it. But either way, it's a really scary but brilliant scene.
It is, yeah. And the way his eyes sort of subside into his head and they get sort of morphed into that. It's not the nicest to look at, but it does add to the whole creepiness of the story. This whole episode is very creepy.
Because he sort of explains it, doesn't he? That's why Richard Wilson's so good in this. He kind of fills in a bit more story at that point before he turns into the gas mask man. He kind of fills in a bit of story of what's been going on and why this hospital is filled with them people that have turned into gas mask people, and then just before he turns into that, we get that really eerie scene of them all sitting up, which is, again, it just all builds up to, whoa, what is going on here? It's so good,
and it's scary as well, because he bangs
really
the
scary
table leg or something, and they all sit up, and you think, well, the doctor's in trouble, but then he's like, they're harmless, they won't do anything, but it's still scary. It's
really scary. And then we cut to the Nancy hiding under the table, and the kid has got in the room, and he manages to shut the door with his finger, and she's trapped. And I was sat there just mouth open. I've seen it before. It just still gets me. It still gets me.
Great. It's not just great Doctor Who. It's great television. I think anyone, even if they're not a Doctor Who fan, as much as we are, or our listeners, I think just somebody who likes a good story and maybe good suspense and sci-fi would really like it. It's not just for Who fans, this one.
It's absolutely true. I'll tell you, when this first went out, I remember, I don't know, a week, maybe 2, afterwards, going to my uncle's house, and my sister and her then boyfriend came round, and my uncle had put this on because he hadn't seen it, so he's watching it on record or whatever. I don't know what it would have been back then, but and of course they sit down and they're like, oh, not Doctor Who, because the theme had kicked on. Oh, because they hadn't watched any of the new series, and it's like they're like, oh, has he made you put this on? And Bob's like, no, I don't want Doctor Who, So he puts it on, and I honestly remember the 4 of us watching it and thinking, I wonder what they're thinking of it. They're still watching it. They haven't said anything yet. And they got to the end and they were like, oh, this was pretty good, actually. Yeah, it's pretty good. And I was like, wow, because there is, my uncle quite likes Doctor Who, so I can't count him in this, but my sister and her boyfriend, there's 2 people that would never, ever normally sit through Doctor Who, let alone 2 episodes, who really thought it was good. And I don't know if they ever watched Doctor Who again. I don't think my sister really watches it, but they sat through both episodes and they thought it was really good. And I remember being so chuffed, like, yes, Doctor Who's back, and oh, my sister's just watched Doctor Who. This is unbelievable. So yeah, it is. It's an episode that, even if you're not a fan, will grip you, I think. Yeah. And
I think it's got all the right ingredients that make a sort of suspenseful, creepy story as well. And I think children in horror stories or things like that, they can be very creepy. And I think the thing that always comes out of this story, especially episode 1, is the whole, "Are you my mummy?" And the little kids saying, "Mummy." It is scary. I know it's been done 1,000 times before with like little kids in horror stories and stuff, but it really is very creepy. I know for a fact that my 9-year-old, he's going to be 10 soon, he will still find, he hasn't seen this before, but he would find this very creepy. He would really, honestly, find it quite scary.
Is the voice, I'm assuming the voice is the actual kid that's in the gas mask, is it? I assume it's him, because the voice is is it not?
No.
Oh, because the voice, no, it's not, is it? Because the voice is perfect in terms of being creepy, and it's these things, it's so easy to get these things wrong. In terms of if you get the wrong, I'm trying to think of the Quark voices. Think out, it's so easy to have, if they'd have cast somebody else, it might not have had that edge. Who's doing the voice? Noah Johnson is the voice, and the kid,
Albert Valentine.
So 2 different people, but it's such a creepy child voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mommy.
It is. Yeah.
Mommy. It's absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and there's a scene that's really creepy as well, where in the clip that I played earlier, where they see the child at the window. And Nancy tells them all to go out and all the rest of it. And then when they cut to the hallway, all you see is the silhouette of the child. Oh, yes. and the camera sort of rotates as it goes towards the thing. And then the big echoey, "Mummy." And it's like, oh, crikey, that's like...
so good.
That's like hair standing up on your arms and your neck, that bit.
Yeah.
Great
stuff.
Again,
great direction from James Hawes, I think. Yeah, great direction in that. Yeah,
great stuff. Let's talk about Rose, because one thing that she definitely doesn't do is contribute any important stuff.
I have to be honest, she doesn't. Yeah.
However, she is necessary, I suppose, because the Doctor's busy actually doing stuff. So she is kind of necessary in order to get Captain Jack into the story.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we do have the whole comedic flirtiness and stuff between her and Jack. But she's okay. She's reasonably funny in it and a couple of times. But otherwise, she's just being Rose, I think.
She didn't, I have to say, no offense to Billy, because she was perfectly good in it. She didn't stand out in it as much as I remembered, if you like. Because, when I'm thinking before I put this on for a rewatch, I instantly think of her going up and being caught up in the Zeppelin balloon or whatever it is, and all that. So I thought she did more. Maybe she does in episode 2, I can't remember. But yeah, she was okay in it. She just doesn't get much to do in terms of moving the story forward apart from the Captain Jack stuff. It's quite nice when she goes after, because she spots the kid at the beginning, doesn't she? The very beginning. She's like, "Oh, Doctor, there's a kid up there." So it's quite nice that she goes to try and save him, and then obviously gets carried away in the balloon, by the balloon. But yeah, she wasn't as good as I sort of remember, really. But she wasn't bad either. She just kind of added to a few nice scenes in it. So, I hope I get a bit more from Rose in part 2. I really do. I can't remember, but she'll be back with the Doctor in part 2, won't she? So
yes, yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, she's still good in it. Nothing wrong with Rose in this one. She's not too annoying in it. And she's quite good with the flirting.
Yeah, the stuff with Captain Jack is quite good.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, nice scene on top of the spaceship and in front of Big Ben and all that. So, yeah.
And what did you think to the Doctor, Chris Eccleston, in this one?
I thought he was superb. I absolutely love Chris in this. I really do. I just, there's maybe, if I was going to really, really nitpick some of the comedy when he goes into the music club at the start where he has to jump on stage, and it's just that sometimes Chris pulls these funny faces and I don't think it suits him. If I had to really nitpick, I'd say perhaps not so good in the comedy bits at the beginning, but that would be really nitpicking, because I think he's superb in it. I mean, just love the scenes that we talked about earlier with when he pops up at the kids' table and the interaction with Nancy and the stuff that he says at the end about the war. And I love Chris as the Doctor. I just really do. I just think he's superb. Yeah. I really can't fault him, actually. He's great.
Yeah, there's not much to say, really. I mean, he's just fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. He is fantastic.
Literally from the first few moments on screen. He's just on it on this one. He's firing on all cylinders. He does.
He's so engaging, isn't he? And like you said, he's doing stuff. I think he's really, even though we've got the scenes, we cut to sort of Rose and Barrowman, when we come back to Doctor, he really is in control, and he's, you can tell he's going to sort this out, and he's not afraid to open the door. But even though he's been told not to, he really is. He's such a strong Doctor, I think, in terms of that. Like you said, he does. You know that he's going to sort this out, and he's or at least he's not afraid to sort it out. Chris is great.
And we also kick off the sort of uneasiness between the Doctor and Captain Jack's character straight away. Because that sort of carried through even to Tennant's Doctor. I don't think the Doctor looks upon Captain Jack favourably in a lot of things. He doesn't,
does he? No, I'm never quite sure why he's so down on him.
Yeah.
But he does seem to be, because in Utopia, which you mentioned earlier, he sees Jack running towards TARDIS and he does the quickest. He's like, "Oh God, let's get out of here." He really doesn't want to spend much time with him. You almost feel a bit sorry for Jack. Really, I'm not quite sure why the Doctor's so down on him.
Yeah.
What did you think of the whole? Because there was one thing that slightly annoyed me. It's not really to do with Chris, but Billy keeps referencing Spock in this episode, which I'd forgotten about, and I didn't really think it worked. In terms of, not really sure. I just can't see Rose as a Star Trek fan. It seemed to me to be just sort of put in there as a bit of a. It seemed misplaced to me, because she doesn't just say it once, does she? She makes the joke 2 or 3 times about he's Spock, or she might even do it again in part 2. I can't remember. But I don't know. Just struck me as a bit strange, because I think I think it replaced a line about there was a sort of Star Trek in Doctor Who joke in there, and I think it changed into this of her just mentioning Spock. I don't know. Just would she be a 60s Star Trek fan? I just can't see it really.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't. Well, for me, I don't think that it was put in there to make us think that she watches Star Trek or anything. I think it was in there because that's what a lot of people associate with science fiction.
Yeah.
And I think doesn't it start where she's, the Doctor's not being sci-fi enough. She's after some gobbledygook and some sci-fi speak. And she does mention it a couple of times. And I think when Captain Jack says something,
she's really impressed with him.
Yeah.
She's like, finally a professional or something. And that was quite nice.
Finally some Spock or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's, to be honest, if I didn't really mind it, it didn't. Have you got a bit of a niggle about this?
No, not really. No, it didn't. It didn't bug me. It just sort of stood out a bit out of place, I suppose, for me.
Oh, okay.
I didn't mind it. I think it was funnier the bizarrely the second time because there's more Chris's reaction to what are you on about. No, it didn't bug me. It just stood out as slightly out of place, for some reason. But one thing I did notice in this story, which bizarrely I've never noticed before and really should have, which I really liked, was when Constantine says about before the war he was a father and grandfather and now he's neither. He's still a doctor, and then Chris says, "Yeah, I know the feeling." And I thought, how did I never notice the Doctor referencing that he's been a dad and a grandfather and he's still a doctor? How did I never notice that before? Because it's a great line, and it's done, as I said, blink and you'll miss it moment, but as I clearly did. But that was really nice, I thought.
Yeah, and there's another scene actually between him and Nancy where she says something like, "You don't know what it's like to be."
The kid left outside or
left outside and to have lost everyone or something like that. And he says, "Actually, I do." And she his face kind of says it all.
That's the thing with Chris. When he does that face, he's so good at the serious. As I said, not always on point with the comedy, but he's so good at the serious. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to mention, buddy, on this before we get on to our scores? What about the music? The music was quite creepy as well.
Music's brilliant.
Yeah,
Murray's music's different in series 1, and not different in a bad way, just different, and I love it. I love the music from series 1, and for me, really good in this one. Yeah. The music really totally adds to what's going on screen. It's not overbearing. Yeah, absolutely spot on, the music in this.
Yeah, love it.
Right,
if there's nothing else to mention, I think we'll get on with scores.
Yeah, let's get on with scores.
I believe it's my turn to go first.
It is.
So I'm going to go straight in with a 9. Easy.
You're going in with a 9.
Yeah.
I'm joining you. I am joining you with a 9. Yeah. I can't. It's not quite a 10. I think it'd be interesting when we review part 2 because we'll score that and then I'll probably give this story an overall score. But very, very strong part 1. So 9 from me as well.
Really strong. Can't fault it, really. Cracking, great Doctor Who. If you said to somebody, give me a great Doctor Who story to watch, never seen it before, I want to check out Eccleston, this alongside a couple of others would be up there. Easy.
Yeah, definitely.
What did our lovely listeners think? We got a few audio reviews in, so let's do one of those first. This is Owen Daly.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're both well and enjoying the show this week. So, The Empty Child. Regarded as one of the Night Doctor's finest stories, and I do agree saying it is fantastic, no pun intended there, but it's certainly not a story I jump to when I'm in the mood for a Series 1. The Gasman zombies are terrifying in part 1, and I will admit they did give me nightmares when I first saw the story. The war setting complements the zombies, adding the destroyed setting as a perfect backdrop to the invasion. Of course, Captain Jack first appeared here, and it's weird how he started out, isn't it? I love the con man he was, and it was a fantastic concept of him and Rose dancing on the spaceship in Big Ben, and I thought John Barrowman definitely gave a fantastic performance here, and it proved that he could be a leading man in Torchwood. One final thing I've got to say is Chris's performance. He balances the seriousness of the story with some of the light comedy, and I love how he reacts to Nancy being the nanny and how she looks after the children, and the zombies, how he reacts to them is brilliant. as first parts go, this one is definitely up there with the greats, so 7.5 out of 10. And I've just got to say, that cliffhanger is terrifying with your man, Dr. Constantine, turning into the gas mask zombie and them approaching them. Fantastic. And I love part 2, but I presume you're going to do that next, so I will talk about that next time. Thanks for listening, and see you all next time.
Thank you, Owen.
Cheers, Owen. Yes, what a cliffhanger. It is so good.
It's great. Yeah.
You can't help but say fantastic. I know we're all doing it, but you can't help it. It is.
It is, yeah. Over on Facebook, Joe Sweeney says, a masterpiece from Moffat. Shame he didn't write like that during his tenure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like that, Joe. He says, love how it kicked off with the first Doctor and Rose chasing an object. Brilliant story set in London World War II. The boy in a gas mask saying repeatedly, are you my mummy, was kind of creepy. Eccleston was superb. He gives it a 9 out of 10.
Yes, 9, number 9.
Sammy Satine. So the Doctor and Rose chase an alien object through space and time to stop it crashing to Earth in the middle of the Blitz. So can they stop it? And she says, the days when Russell was showrunner and Moffat wrote great episodes. She misses those days. Can we go back to this, please?
Yeah.
I really don't need to tell you how good this is. Eccleston is brilliant. Piper is brilliant. Barrowman's brilliant. I want Captain Jack Harkness to come back. Please, Chibnall, please.
Yes.
Basically, everything and everyone is brilliant. A 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Awesome.
Yeah, cool stuff. Kevin Mullen says, dark and scary. The story became iconic almost from the day it was transmitted. Moffat's first script for the series is an absolute flawless masterpiece. Acting, design, direction and music. The Empty Child is the show firing on all cylinders. Thoroughly brilliant concept, and the scene where Richard Wilson's Doctor transforms is perhaps the most horrific thing in the show, most horrific thing the show has ever seen. Strip away the sci-fi and horror, and we ultimately get a tragic story of an underage teenage girl who has had a child who has died. That is proper grown-up adult drama and is beautifully written. 10 out of 10 really doesn't do the story justice. Not only is it magnificent Doctor Who, but also magnificent television drama. The fact that Are You My Mummy scene won TV Moment of the Year is a testament to the brilliance of the script.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spot on, Kevin. Agree with you there, mate. Let's do another audio review. This Alex is back.
Hey, I wondered where Alex was.
Alex Kingdom. Let's get
I thought he'd sold his Blue Box T-shirt and moved to the Hawaii.
Let's hear from Alex.
Hello, is this working? Hello? Oh my god. It's been 3 months, and I finally get to say it one more time. Hello, guys, from the Big Blue Box podcast. I'm back. Woo! And wearing my t-shirt loud and proud. It's time for the Empty Child. The first part to the epic 2-part story, which contains Night Dr. Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper as Rose Tyler as a human adventure in World War II London, as well as Captain Jack's in there as well. And it's a very spooky story, and it's really Moffat its best time to be in top of his game. This is where he was really on top of his game. But also, it's really where Doctor Who in the 9th Doctor era, from my opinion anyway, it was at its peak in terms of how scary the show was. I don't think the show has really hit that fear factor. People say Blink. I think this is the one that is the most scary in my opinion. Again, Captain Jack Harkness gets introduced here, but the whole Nano Gene storyline and the whole thing about Nancy, is it? The mother who pretends to be the big sister. That's just a tragic story, and obviously gets revolved in the next week. Which I honestly can't wait to talk about with you guys. But also, I just love the story because it really has a nice vibe to it. It really does. And well, bit rusty on this one, guys. Sorry about that, but I have to give this first part of the story an 8.5 out of 10. I think it's really good. If there's anything I add it down, I think Rose is a bit. Doesn't really do much in the story. But other than that, it's really a really incredible story. So yeah, I'll see you guys all next time. Goodbye, all the best.
Thank you very much, Alex.
Welcome back, Alex.
Welcome, yeah. Good point there. And I think a lot of people echo the same thing, is that, just the Moff writing a cracking story. Just no big story arcs and characters going off to do other stuff that we're going to bring back later and all that. It's just...
Yeah, no scenes that just go nowhere just to fill out 45 minutes. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Right back on Facebook, Dean Jones says, an excellent start to a cracking two-parter. Eccleston shines as the Doctor. The production design perfectly captures World War II. Compelling script, genuinely creepy horror elements. Whilst he doesn't get much in screen time, Richard Wilson is fascinating as Dr. Constantine.
Yeah.
Secretly wishes he said, I don't believe it. And Barrowman is brilliantly introduced as Captain Jack. Only criticism is of Rose's lines. Takes me out of the story a tiny bit. Besides that, I love it. I can't wait to give you my thoughts on the Doctor dances. So The Empty Child gets a 9.9.
Whoa.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Lewis Palmer. Well, this is, pardon the pun, fantastic. I'd forgotten how scary it was until my recent rewatch, but the silhouette of the child eerily walking to the door is enough to traumatise a child.
Good.
That's exactly what I mean, Lewis. That scene in the hallway is just terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible in a good way. I'm honestly surprised it wasn't one that scared me more when I was younger. Other shots like the child watching the Doctor and Rose exit the TARDIS just solidify the excellently unnerving atmosphere. Quite like Nancy for what it's worth as well. I must admit I kept waiting for Dr. Constantine to go, I don't believe it. Fantastic cliffhanger as well. So hooey. I just love it. He goes on to give it a 9 out of 10.
Cheers, Lewis.
Yeah. Charlie Turner, where do I start with this one? Oh, I know. How about the fact that this is for the first time I was scared of something on TV in an outstanding way? The best thing about Moff, in my opinion, is that he can take something so simple and make it scary if done well. This is truly his best work so far. Only gripe I have with it is Rose says nothing to Jack about already having a boyfriend, i.e. Mickey Smith.
He does mention him though, doesn't he? Jack says on the psychic paper, oh, I see here you've got a kind of on-off boyfriend. And she just like,
Well, yeah. And then he goes on to say, doesn't stop the story from being a masterpiece though, so 9.5.
9.5, good.
Justin Lee says, great episode, true masterpiece from the Moff. Obvious this was written before he gave up. One of my top episodes from the Eccleston era. Brilliant as the Doctor. Rose was excellent and such a great introduction to Captain Jack. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, wow.
Joseph Howarth, the first part of what is pretty much one of my favourite stories from the Eccleston era. Empty Child pretty much sets up the two-parter very well. It's very dark in places, sets the scene and tone of the Blitz in London, introduced to Captain Jack, and of course the iconic gas mark zombies. The zombies in question are really scary as a concept because it's not aliens from another planet or even mutated abominations like the Crinoids. It's human beings like us, and it makes the idea as well that the gas mark zombies themselves even more terrifying. Goes on to say, Chris Eccleston effectively was my Doctor, and I can safely say this was the episode that I found really chilling when I was 12 years old. I would say more, but overall my thoughts are pretty much in my review for the next episode when we get to it. But for now, I'll give this story a 9 out of 10.
Good.
Another 9.
Yeah.
Jeff Waddle, as good as Who gets. Creepy, exciting, disturbing, jumble of Who goodness. The best Eccleston story and in my top 5 of New Who. 9.5.
Cheers, Jeff.
Zach Jenkin, the best two-part of the new series along with the Zygon invasion. Really wish Moffat would write like this again. The Doctor is terrific in this, and it's a great introduction to Captain Jack. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Cheers, mate.
Yeah. Christoph Cloudman Antoine says, Moffat was not lying when he wrote the Just This Once Everybody Lives part. Superb episode. Miles Mackenzie, one of the best. The gas mark zombie is very creepy, and the characters are very good. 9.5.
Yeah, high scores all round.
Yeah, and lastly, Finn Morris Young says, what a brilliant episode from the Moff before he expired. He gives it a 9 out of 10. And before it expired.
I like that.
Oh, crikey. Right, last audio clip. This is from the Who Addicts. Guys, this is Matt Rowney.
Yeah. Hey there, Gary and Adam. I hope you two are well. Now, The Empty Child is great but frustrating at the same time. It's great because it's without doubt one of the most intense and scary episodes in the modern series of Doctor Who, but it's also frustrating because it shows how good Stephen Moffat can be when he's not surrounding himself with a massive story arc and he can just focus on one story, and it's a shame we never got this level of writing enough in his tenure. But for me, The Empty Child is just a great story. The Ninth Doctor's on top form as always, and I think Rose was very good in this too. But it introduced one of the best characters of the modern series in Captain Jack Harkness, and I thought the way he entered as a con man I thought was great, and the way his character has developed since has been fantastic. But of course the highlight is The Empty Child itself. Only Stephen Moffat could make such a mundane idea so scary. A small little innocent child, and all he has is a gas mask, but he's repeating the same words over and over again, and the direction as well and the music complements that, and it just makes this episode even more creepy. The mystery around Nancy, I think, is also absolutely fantastic, and it has a great cliffhanger at the end too. So for me, I think The Empty Child is a solid start to what is a stellar two-parter, and I've got to give it a 9 out of 10.
Cool stuff.
Thank you, Matthew Rowney.
Thank you very much indeed from the Who Addicts. Not sure if I said Who Addicts Reviews, but that's not their name anymore. They are just the Who Addicts.
There'll be a symbol soon, be like Prince, just turn into a symbol.
Did you have anything over on the Geeks Handbook? The Geeks Handbook page? Did you have anything on the
Geeks Handbook?
The Geeks Handbag Facebook page?
I did indeed. Jack Wilderspin, he says, love this story along with the Doctor dances. I remember seeing it when it was first broadcast. It has a fantastic tone, creepy music, and possibly the best concept for a monster in the modern era. A real favourite of mine. It still gets under my skin to this day. It's a classic. Jack gives it 10 out of 10.
Cool.
Adam Time Lord Fishwick says, one of my favourite Eccleston stories. The gas mask people are very scary. It's one of Moffat's best. Another 10 out of 10. Yeah. Patrick Sherwood says, hi, so this story, I absolutely adore this one. It's one of my favourites of all time. I love it to pieces. It's one of my favourites. I really, 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 really love it, he says. So he's going to give it, surprisingly, a 10 out of 10.
A 10.
That's 3 10 out of 10s. And finally, Mark Atkinson from the brilliant Proctor Who podcast says, a brilliant episode where Moffat first proved he could write incredible Doctor Who. Dark, creepy, funny, and clever. It's all here. Classic stuff. Mark gives it 9.5 out of 10.
Wow. I think
that's high scores all round, isn't it?
Do you know what? I think this could be the highest sort of average score from us and our listeners ever. I think, well, we'll have to go through the scores, but I think this one is overall, the average must be 9.
We haven't had any low scores at all, have we? We haven't had anyone that said, well, it's a bit overrated or anything like that, have we? Everybody's like, 9, 10, 9.5. It's all high stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope next week's is as good. In my mind, it is. You already know, you've watched it. I'm really, really looking forward to watching part 2. I do remember it being great, but I hope I'm trying not to get too, because I really enjoyed this part. I'm trying not to get too hyped, just in case. I seem to remember it's really good. I hope it's another 9.
Well, you say next week. We're not doing the Doctor dances until
no
the week after, because next week is Classic Who.
Yes.
So it'll be the week after that where we conclude with the Doctor dances. But just consistently high on this one. It must be an average 9.5, because we had quite a few 10s as well.
10s, yeah.
So thank you very much, guys, for sending in your reviews and thoughts. Next week, as I said, it's going to be Classic Week, as always. We're going back to old Colin.
Colin,
we haven't done a Colin one in a while. Dude, what are we going to do next week?
Oh, we've got it all next couple of weeks is going to be great. We've got it all going on. So next week, we've got Colin Baker, we've got Patrick Troughton, we've got Servalan from Blake 7, and we've got the Sontarans. It can only be the 2 Doctors next week, which I'm very much looking forward to, because I haven't watched that for donkey's years. So I'm looking forward to a bit of Colin next week. And then, the week after that, we will conclude this 2-part story with the Doctor dances. So got really excited for the next couple of weeks.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be good. It's going to be really good.
And I think we'll do there for 131.
All right.
Thank you so much for sticking with us. It's been a bit of a long show, this one, but we've had lots to talk about and lots to go through.
Yeah.
So the website, just a recap from all the cool merch that we mentioned earlier, which is mostly the mugs and stuff, is gbposters.com. If you head to gbposters.com, you'll see some stuff on there for Doctor Who, or if you just put Doctor-Who at the end, that will take you straight to the Doctor Who page. So yeah, I might pick up a couple of those mugs, you know. Like we've said on many occasions, we love a good mug.
I do love a mug, yeah.
Something about a mug, not sure, just symbolises one's devotion to something. It's almost like akin to been there and bought the t-shirt. For us, it's like been there and bought the mug.
Bought the mug. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. And if you get a t-shirt as well, even better. Sit in your t-shirt with your mug.
Oh, yeah. Well,
combo. The t-shirt mug combo.
That's the golden standard. If you've been there and bought both.
Yeah.
Of course, in our case, if you've been there and we've bought the mug, the t-shirt, the signed thing, the collectible, the slippers, the duvet
Titan figure,
the whole freaking lot.
Yeah.
Right, head over to our website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to this show again and all of our previous episodes. Plus, you can also link off to all of the social stuff. So follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Good stuff going on over there.
Yeah.
Also, you can link off there to iTunes. And if you're an iTunes listener, we would really appreciate a review and a rating. That would be awesome. And if you're on iTunes listening and you don't subscribe, just do a search for the Big Blue Box Podcast and you should find it. Give us a subscribe. That would be cool. Remember to check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes.
Do a search for that on YouTube. Find his YouTube channel and his Facebook page.
That's it.
It wouldn't be the worst thing that you would do today.
No. Cheers.
Is to watch Adam's stuff. It's really, really good stuff.
Yeah.
Next week, Colin Baker's story, The Two Doctors. Look out for the Facebook post for that. Really looking forward to your thoughts and feelings on that story.
Yeah.
And we'll conclude this story week after next for the Doctor Dancers. Until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,